Unfortunately, the Port Adelaide engine stalled early in the season and has been spluttering ever since. A 5-7 record. They are down in 12th spot, and it is a must-win game at the SCG tonight if they're going to play a part in the September action. An absolutely critical game for Port Adelaide. And, of course, the late withdrawal of Trengove won't help their chances. Dermot Brereton, as we take a look at the Port Adelaide lineup.
As you said, Trengove is out, 197 centimetres. Stewart comes in at 191 centimetres. He's named on the interchange bench. You have a look right through this team. Ebert on the wing, he's knocked up getting the footy. Broadbent will play back. Boak is a wonderful leader. And Gray on the half-forward flank, expect him to spend big time through the middle of the ground.
Well, 9 and 3, you wouldn't think there's too many problems for the Sydney Swans, but when you take out Franklin in particular and also Kurt Tippett, it leaves a massive hole in the forward makeup. So how they cover for that, we're about to find out. They've got some issues of their own and they certainly don't want to cough up a game at home. Alistair Lynch, take us through the Sydney lineup.
Well, it was certainly a disappointing second half last week, but 6 convincing wins prior to that. Their back line's going to be very important. The run from Smith, Shaw and Rampy off half-back to feed the ball to their midfield, who are going to be under a lot of pressure to kick goals. Goods will play key post, as we just heard from Tippett. Sam Reid will roll off the wing, probably to centre half forward. But big Toby Nankervis, the former opening bowler for the Tasmanian under-17s cricket side, he'll debut tonight. So after 2 years on the list, he'll be looking forward to a big game. Pike's going to play a really important role with his contested mark and inside forward 50. Dermot, you smile.
He's a left footer. Was he a left armer as well?
Left arm quick.
Yeah, left footers are rarely not left armers when they play. You know what I mean. Yeah.
Inside of 5 minutes before this game kicks off at the SCG, let's dive back into the lab. David King has Cam Mooney with him.
Well, we'll look at the opposition scouting report and what's important to clamp. And tonight for the Sydney Swans, Moons, you've put Jay Schiltz on the radar. The Swans need to clamp him.
Well, you have to. I mean, you look at his win. When they win, he kicks 4 goals. When they lose, he only kicks 1 goal. His accuracy is what it's all about. So he kicks something like 80+% when he's kicking well. When he's kicking poorly, he kicks under 30%. He's a barometer of their side in that forward line when he's up and going.
He gives them a lot of energy, doesn't he? He gives them real hope. I think that when he's kicking well, like you say, they feel like they just need to get the ball in his area. They are frightening numbers. And I guess that's Port in a nutshell across the course of this season, isn't it?
Look, it really is. Like I said, this guy's up and fly. They're moving the ball through the middle of the ground, King, and they're getting it in there quickly. This guy is unstoppable on the lead, and when he gets that ball, he is a beautiful kick. He has been very up and down, as we're seeing right here, but when he's up and going, they're up and going.
Well, let's have a look from the Port point of view, because last week we learned a valuable lesson. Richmond put a lot of time into Lewis Jetta, particularly after half-time. They got him really clamped, as we like to say. He's had 61 midfield score involvements. He's the class in this team. He's the one who creates the overlap run. And prior to half-time last week, he was out of control. Only minimal possession, but maximum damage. Let's have a look at some vision here that we've tricked up through the week. You can see him here. He lays this tackle. He starts this tackle, and Kennedy comes in and finishes it off and draws the free kick. They want to get the ball into Lewis Jetta's hands. It's give it to him at any cost. If he's got a metre, that's enough. He's the elite kicker of the team. There he is. Just chips a short one in. Takes what's on offer. McVeigh gets it. He wants to give it back to Jetta, but Riewoldt does the job defensively. A poor handover, and all they do is say, OK, he's free. Get the ball back in his hands and let him deliver the ball inside 50, because that's the class they need. He makes that forward line work. After half-time, Moons, Richmond said, we can't allow that to happen. Let's get a lockdown on him and do not let him get handball receives wrapping around the back. And they clamped that off him, and all of a sudden they got turnover off players like Reece Shaw.
Well, he sets up so much play through that middle of the ground last week. His kicking through the middle of the ground is as good as anyone in the competition. He gives that run around the back. If they allow that to happen tonight, he will cut them apart.
Need to do the job tonight, Jace. They need to really shut down Lewis Jetta if they can.
They do, and I don't think it'll be lost on Ken Hinkley, the impact that tagging Lewis Jetta had after half-time last week. But you'd expect that to happen again, wouldn't you?
Well, he's an important player. He's got a 50-metre leg. He's a really piercing kick. We know he can run. We know what pace he's got. But he's a real piercing kick of the football, 50 metres every time he gets it. So he's a real skillful player. They'll be certainly clamping on him, I would have thought.
Yeah, you've got to be careful of the smaller players like Kieran Jack as well. He can play a defensive role in the forward half, but also kick goals, so he can hurt the opposition. I think Sydney are pretty well equipped through the midfield and small forwards to kick a winning score tonight.
Have a look at the Port Adelaide side. There is danger with Robbie Gray. They don't have the natural matchup. Once you get past and put Nick Smith to somebody, whether he goes to wing guard, they don't have a natural matchup. If you're putting Reece Shaw on Gray, I'm worried. I'm worried straight up.
Ready to go at the SCG. Go and grab a coldie, grab a coffee, grab your couch supplies, because on the other side of the break we'll be coming back with the first bounce. It's Thursday night footy on Fox. Toss of the coin at the SCG. Travis Boak and Kieran Jack.
That is a tail.
Kieran Jack gets the toss, so a good start for the Sydney Swans. Let's get the final thoughts from the lab and David King and Cam Mooney.
Well, I'm going with Port Adelaide tonight. I think they can cause a bit of an upset, Moons. This is everything to them, this game. The mindset of this team is focused. I'm going to tip them in.
Look, I'm with you tonight. I think Wingard, Boak, Gray, Wines and Ebert through the middle of the ground can get it done.
A little bit of push and shove prior to the game. We see that every week. The boys have jumped off. No Franklin, no Tippett. They're all going for Port Adelaide.
Well, one thing Sydney can still do is bring heat. They can still bring pressure to a game. And one thing that has made Port Adelaide wilt this season has been raw and extreme pressure. I think Sydney get it done.
I think Sydney get it done too. I reckon Port will take a lot out of what Richmond did. One contested footy last week and a really good kicking game for Richmond.
Yeah, both teams' elite talent in the midfield is going to be a great contest.
All right, they are all set to go. Let's head back to the SCG for the first bounce. It's Sydney taking on Port Adelaide.
Pike. Lobe over the top. Jack. In there was Westhoff. Really good handball. Gray. So good with his hands. Here's Gray. Calhoun out wide and Hartlett. They're better ball handlers. Now, this is the sort of kick they're going to be looking for all night to get it back inside. Unfortunately for them, Wines dropped what should have been an easily marked. Here's Hartlett now. Short ball, Westhoff. He'll wheel and go, and he does. Waste no time at all. Gets it wide to Cracker.
So Cracker, a blistering start against the Blues a couple of weeks ago, goes searching inside. Wingard, strong hands, second effort, not quite, he'll give. Hartlett's been busy early to Shaw from Laidler, and suddenly they're out of trouble and perhaps away. Rowan, brilliant last week. One of the two Swans who got a vote in the Coaches' Awards. He had terrific hands last weekend, and he starts well tonight.
Yeah, they were terrific hands, and he was on fire early last week. They need a four-quarter performance out of him tonight in that forward line.
So wide to Grundy, who's been so reliable. So too Richards, missed so few home and away games between them. Lloyd goes searching. McVeigh, Wines, the old and the young, they have a fair sort of a tussle. Wines to space. Lloyd goes back. Little give to Mitchell. Back to Lloyd. They retreat. They're comfortable to do so. Now Richards, bit of a fumble. Smith asked to do a lot. Hartlett, backwards he goes. Ebert, now to space. Well, Jonas had to stand up, lost his feet, took them all on.
So Parker deep in that forward line, Richo. Good's the second man out. And Nankervis all there in picture, as you can see. Great shot of the new look temporary forward line. Goods was off. Was he tripped? Was he driven forward? Yes, he was. In the back, says the umpire.
Oh, this will be just the start that Adam Goods wants tonight. Look at Luke Parker there. That's perfect. He's very, very good one-on-one. He doesn't get beaten, Brian, and he brought it to the front, and Goods was in the perfect spot.
For career goal 451, the superstar Adam Goods from point-blank range, 20 out, directly in front. He's got a beautiful technique. No problems at all. Sydney get the first.
Richo, Tommy Jonas hasn't had the most outstanding season. Not the ideal way to start. I think Adam Goods lost his feet with one of his players, got tripped up. Jonas was about to tackle, fell into the back, gives away the free kick, first goal of the Swans.
It's the sort of things that happen when things aren't going your way for Tom Jonas. And now there's a free kick coming out of the middle of the ground here. I'm not sure what has happened there. It's against Big Nankervis, I think.
Now there's a free kick being paid in the middle here, because while Goods was taking that shot for goal, there was a bit of a push and a shove going on behind the play in the middle of the ground.
Go down to Jude in a moment and see if he saw who was involved as Lobe goes searching to half forward. Jetta closing speed, good. Montfree's free kick. Colquhoun, who's making his way back into this side after having a knee reconstruction. To Pittard, who wheels onto that left boot. Long ball, top of the square. Here comes Wingard over the top. Not quite. Had it, lost it. Jack, composed to Laidler. Well, outnumbered here, the Swans.
Gee, that's dangerous, letting Wingard run and jump at the footy like that. Sorry, Hamish. He went unchecked into that marking contest. If he gets a jump at it very often, he'll make you pay. You just need to put body on him.
Well, Cracker's kick, normally brilliant, disappointing, so Lloyd can pick out Parker on the wing.
Parker wanted to go, decided against it, and just decides patience is the way to go here as most Port defenders get forward of the footy, and that'll be cut off. Pittard, who's a really good sag-off player, intercept player. Now to Cracker. Just pulled the kick a little bit here, looking for Lobie. Had to get down low, the big fella did it really well. Back to Cracker. This kick looks pretty good. A little too heavy for Wingard there to do his work. Over the back it comes, opportunity Richards. Almost threw it out, Laidler threw it. Good tackle by Wingard.
Well, he's in the game. He looks on early, Chad Wingard. He was involved in another marking contest, came out on the lead, and then got straight back after it and laid a great tackle. He's been on fire lately.
He's a gun tackler, Richo, too, isn't he?
He is, and that's his job as a small forward, but he can do it all down there. He's kicked 12 goals in his last 3 games.
So he, too, is directly in front. A kick of only 25 metres here. Wingard comes in to level the scores up. Goal apiece in the opening minutes here at the SCG.
It's going to be a great battle, that one. Nick Smith, All-Australian back pocket last year, was rarely beaten. And he has the job on probably, along with Eddie Betts, the most dangerous small forward in the comp at the moment. He gets high possessions. Chad Wingard, he can mark the ball, and he's a goal kicker. Kicked 5 in his last start. And he's not the sort of guy you want to get up and running early. He's a player that just, once he's going, he's nearly impossible to stop.
Hard not to love the way Chad Wingard plays his footy. He's kicked 6 goals in his last 8 kicks.
He's on fire. Heyman, gee, they've opened up their forward 50. Lobie is 1 out in the goal square, and there's not another Port player inside 50.
So 5 goals from 7 kicks against the Blues in that 4-point loss. And first kick tonight, a major. Towers, one of the 3-ins for the Swans. Speaking to Tony Maud on the plane on the way up, he said his pace is equal to Gary Rowan and De Jettas. So watch Dean Towers over 25 metres. Reid, terrific kick from Rowan. Clean hands from Reid.
Clean hands. He's got terrific hands. We know that. A great contested mark. Can float in from the side, can come over the top, and he can get on the lead like that. But don't underestimate Parker's lead. That opens up the space for Reid to come in behind.
So 3 goals from 11 games this year. You cannot kick a footy much better than that. Swans back in front.
Well, there you go. Adam Goods and Sam Reid, the men that they needed to step up tonight and kick goals. Of course, they were the key forwards in the 2012 Premiership, so it's not like they don't know how to do it, Hamish, and that was great hands. And, gee, sometimes his kicking has let him down, his set shot kicking. That's a good start.
Yeah, he's been a bit under the pump for Sam Reid in terms of his kicking, but no, there, just a beautiful set shot.
Well, there's Luke Parker, comes out on the lead, and that opened up the space. You have to do unrewarded leads in 50, don't you, BT?
Oh, that was perfectly picked there, Richo. Well spotted, by the way. Bit of class on the scoreboard already when you look at it. Goods, Wingard and Reid, all kicking goals. Big-time players here. Porter stacking in. They've really got a good body language here at the moment from Port Adelaide.
Hey, Jude, that's a good start for Sam Reid. His kicking has been maligned a little bit at times.
Oh, definitely. He's lost confidence over the time with his set shot goals, but that kick was absolutely sensational. At ground level here, it is absolutely perfect conditions now.
The skipper, free out of the middle, just inches the ball wide here. So Port just in the go slow, patient mould. Remember, in game 2 this year, Sydney absolutely clamped Port and gave them none of this type of opportunity. Westhoff low along the boundary line, searching but not finding Schultz. And it was an incredibly defensive game. One of the best defensive games I've seen Sydney play back in round 2 against Port.
So Richards, who hasn't missed a game in the last 3 years for the Swans, to Lloyd. Neatly to Kennedy. Another part of this Kennedy legacy to Hanbury, who's going to be a Swan for a long time.
Their Towers showed that pace then, Hamish, to get off and take that mark leading backwards.
So inside to Hanbury. So they lost Franklin and Tippett, 358 games and almost 1,000 goals, and in comes 11 games and 5 goals with Towers and Nankervis on debut. So they've lost a lot, but it'll be interesting to see what Towers can do as he tries to break into this side.
Yeah, he seems to be the first one out when there's a change. Dean Towers comes in and out a lot, so this may be a really good opportunity to play a full game tonight.
Nankervis, who's been an emergency 8 times or so already, gets his first taste, going back with a flight. Rampy, here's Westhoff, bouncing ball, once, twice, no problem, all square again.
Yeah, nice start for Justin Westhoff. Disappointing, the Swans had that ball in their own forward 50. Port gained possession, but they should have been able to just keep them in slow play mode. You give away a 50, and on a short ground like this, they're inside 50 and Westhoff makes them pay. So a good start from Port. They're matching the Swans. It's a patient game. Both teams are playing pretty patient football at the moment. So nice crumb there from the big man Justin Westhoff. That's not his one wood. So when he's doing that, he's going to be pretty happy. And a disappointing 50 down there, and the Swans forward line basically gave them a chance to kick that goal, Port.
Bit of a goal fest going on here at the moment. 10 minutes played, 4 goals collectively kicked, and no sign of that clamping defence. So these are good signs for an entertaining game.
It's a pretty patient type of a game from both teams at the moment. We haven't seen any real transition, quick play. Both teams are prepared to be a little bit patient with their ball movement at the moment.
Ollie Wines in there fighting hard, and another example of Port wanting to get in and under there first, Richo.
Yeah, Port have got the loose man back, BT. At the moment, it's Stewart, and now Reece Shaw is the man going back for the Swans.
It's Nankervis doing the ruck work that came into your screen then. So congratulations to Toby, the 20-year-old. Sharon and Kingsley, the parents, flew in from Tasmania today.
From Georgetown, he's from home, and that is a small town, not far from Launceston.
Homsch did well, just separated from all the Swans who were charging at him onto that left foot of his who he's used so well. Hartlett happy to use either side. Beautiful off the left or the right to Colquhoun. Jude Bolton said, a perfect night for football, and really the beginning of the end for Port if they can't close out the Swans. Stewart, who was delayed in for Trengove, wide to Carlisle. Through the middle of the ground they come. Ebert has got one over the top out wide. It's Monfries. Well, it's going to be a bouncing ball in the end, and he does well. Monfries takes on the tackler and a bounce, runs to within range. Well, Wingard was the target, and why not? But well done, Nick Smith. Perhaps unheralded until last year as an All-Australian, but Nick Smith, so often the man that saves the day for the Swans.
Yeah, rarely gets beaten, but good defence from the Swans, and they really had numbers in the corridor, and it forced Wingard to had to lead very wide then.
Andrew umpire taking a long time to get this back into play. Out the back is Kennedy. Goods.
It's got nothing.
So he had to pull the kick as a result of having nothing. Jack's mark was not paid by the umpire. Fast handballs Parker. Umpire had to duck though, and ball shot out in the Kennedy direction. Good tackle by Ebert now. Gee, I reckon the head would have hit the ground and the tackle as well, and there was nothing wrong with the tackle. It was perfectly pinned arms, and if he had been knocked out in that tackle, I wonder what we'd be saying, because I'm sure he hit the ground pretty hard, but it's the perfect tackle, the one-arm pin.
So the Swans lurking about the place. This time Lobie wins against Nankervis. Parker, Archie, Broadbent gets some territory and some time for the moment. The Century show if Port are going to have a big win here and claim a scalp as they run home towards finals, everything needs to go right. So the Westhoff style goal needs to be majors, not behinds, and Wingard needs to clunk and be accurate.
Well done by Nan Curvis. Beautiful palm down on the path of McVeigh there. Gee, that looked throwish. Umpire says keep going, and Westhoff obeys and gets it long, but too far for Gray, and now putting some pressure on Rampy. Just got the little handball out in front. Careful not to sit on it. He'll be pinned. Now he pulls it in. Now he must get rid of it. So Gray and Rampy there.
That's the definition of nervous, I reckon. Being a defender, one out on a Robbie Gray inside 50.
He sweating on you.
Oh, you don't want to be one out on that man.
Lobie with Nan Curvis. Hanbury, Smith, Parker, all names that are important to Sydney. Towers, you talk about his speed. He's got a big vertical leap as well. Opportunity. Cahoon there. Alapati Carlisle back to Cahoon, goes inside 50, long ball, Schultz. Don't reckon he expected to mark it. He did the old chest body, Richo. Put the hands up straight, use the chest.
It was good use of his body. We'll have another look here. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Brian. Didn't use his hands, used his body. The elbow was tucked in, and you're allowed to have a bit of contact when you're a key forward and a key defender. When he kicks goals, Brian, they don't lose.
He gets this momentum in his run, and he often kicks them, Richo.
Put the mocker on him, Brian, but when Jay Schultz plays well, generally that means Port Adelaide are going to win.
He's kicked 25-12 coming into tonight, and he was really battling with supporters getting into about missing that crucial goal shot against the Blues, misses early against the Swans. Kennedy.
So Kennedy has to be patient here because he didn't have anything forward.
He was patient. Rowan lost his feet, kept his head. Did he take the mark? Umpire said no. I'd have been a bit stiff there. We'll see it on replay. Brendan Archie just fires it out. Wanted Wines, didn't find him. Stewart over the shoulder, into the middle of the ground again. Jarman Impey got Grundy to take on. Laidler comes and gives a bit of support. Jarman Impey again. Terrific on Parker, took him to ground. Impey's really provided something this year for the power.
The signs are really good home from Port. They are desperate.
No, it was a bump ball. It was a bump ball. A good call.
Good call.
We know that Sydney are always that way, but there's Cracker. Went without the footy. Rowan to Kennedy. Kennedy gets a look from 30. He nails the goal. Sydney's third.
Well, that's important as well. Joey Kennedy hitting the scoreboard, and they're going to need that tonight. They're going to need some mid-rotations to contribute when they go forward, and Kennedy was playing as a genuine forward then. And I reckon he had too much of a leg rope inside 50 for a guy as dangerous as him. He was able to just have too much space then.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Richard, too much space afforded to Josh Kennedy here. He's allowed to put a little bit of pressure on inside 50 and just get on and snap his 5th goal of the season. He hasn't only kicked the 4 goals from his 12 games. He'll hit the scoreboard again tonight, I just expect.
Yeah, spot on, Jude. You're happy if you're a forward and you're running around inside 50 with no body pressure on you. That's what happened.
So his 5th of the year, he's been inaccurate. Here's a chance again for Kennedy. He's used his body well against Stewart, and he's kept the ball close to goals. Kennedy's kicked 4 for the year, Richo, but he hasn't always been so accurate.
Yeah, 4 goals, 10 this year home, so he'll be happy to kick the first one, get his confidence up.
He's already seen the ball 8 times, averaging 27 for the year, so looks like he's set for a big night. Hartlett, Towers the tackler. Nankervis just bullocking his way through, ripped the football away. So the 20-year-old gets taken to ground on debut.
It's a pretty good even contest, though, so far. Talk about stats a lot in football, and they're all pretty even at the moment. Nothing really standing out.
Umpire Troy Pennell works out who the designated ruckmen are. Cahoon goes in, wrapped in the goods tackle, and we'll do it again.
It's going to be tough to get out of here now for Port Adelaide. The Swans have got it locked in, and look at the numbers behind the footy, Brian.
Both runners here, you can see them in the foreground. They're not delivering any messages. They've been on the ground for about 2 minutes, just standing there. They've got to get off the ground. I mean, they've been sitting out there waiting, and they're coaching on the ground, not delivering messages, Richo.
They're waiting because there was a ball up about to occur, maybe, and they couldn't run in.
Well, there were four ball-ups in a row then, Richo, or 3.
Yeah, so they got to get off and come back on.
Yeah. Shout the message out. Impractical, do you think?
Take a megaphone out there with you, maybe.
Oh, come on, get on and get off. Rampy.
Those sort of things that do irritate you, though, Brian, I've noticed.
They do. There's Jetta. Looking to send one forward. On the lead, picked up by the big fella, Nankervis, around the corner. How classy was that to Kennedy?
Yeah, great skills. But, gee, that matchup is not going the way that Port Adelaide want at the moment. Kennedy kicks the goal before. Look at the big man. That is fantastic. But Kennedy again. I mean, Cracker's got to expect anything can happen playing as a defender. And
Kennedy comes to finish off. He's got 2.
Well, he's on fire. Joey Kennedy, the last 2 goals. But how good was big Nankervis there? Spins around on the left leg and just floats a little one into space.
With his first kick in footy.
Yeah, it's not a bad first kick. He's going to remember that one. Bit of silver service for Joey Kennedy. It's just getting to a little dangerous stage now here for Port Adelaide. Darren Jarman like out there from the big boy from Tassie. Look at this. Yeah, Jars would have been happy with that. Just put it into space. And Cracker's got to get some body pressure on as a defender there.
He's in that famous club. First kick, first goal assist.
Yeah.
Kennedy's got a couple. The Swans have gone back-to-back, and they're 4 straight. Can the Power answer this outfit that has had the wood on them for so long? They've won 12 of the last 14, Sydney, against the Power. The last 5 here over the Power at the SCG, and 9 of the last 12 here at the SCG. So the record, the Swans against Port Adelaide, is formidable. So nobody, no tippet, and for the moment, no problems for the Swans.
That'll be 50. Should be. He clearly mentioned Port Adelaide's free kick before Hanbury kicked it then. Should have been 50.
Yeah, it should be.
So Wines
need a big specky here.
Long and deep. Over the head of Schultz. Richards had the good position there. Now Schultz moved his way through. Westhoff's kick smothered. Wingard got the little handball out to Stewart. The late replacement gave it to Cracker. An inside-out ball working. Did it beautifully. So they respond, Port. Cracker's got his first.
Fantastic from Cracker. Well, he's had 2 goals kicked on him, so that's a good way to get yourself back into the game. Go down and get one back as a defender. Terrific work. They really did press down. It was brave as a defender. I'm going to get down there and do some work inside forward 50. And it was a great finish. So that's terrific. As a defender, he hasn't gone into his shell. He's had 2 goals kicked on him, and he said, no, I'm going to get down there, and pushed in and got a handball receive inside 50. Terrific work.
So the banana from 40 gets the Power back to within 5 points after back-to-back goals to Joey Kennedy.
So it looks like Cracker's playing on the resting on-baller. He's now on McVeigh. Kennedy had come off the ground for a rest. He's back on now. McVeigh goes forward.
Here's Brendan Archie. Doesn't hit it quite as cleanly as he would have liked. Jetta with the speed. Hartlett to chase. Hartlett knew he couldn't keep up, so did well. Just corralled him, kept him in against the boundary line. Kick forward, great. Well, here's Cracker scoring goals at the other end and defending at this. Kick, not great in the end, and Shaw saw it, took it cleanly to the outer side, 50-50 ball. Monfries, Reed limping behind, little one back, Jones went searching. Well done in the end, terrific from Lloyd, back to Reed, tackle good, ball spilt, throwing the ball advantage, not called, it'll come back. Great tackle, pinned the arm.
Yeah,
another great year.
Nothing Reed can do there. Great tackle.
Both teams are on here at the moment. There's Elapati Carlisle up the middle to Ryder, or in fact it is Archie. Archie into the middle. Now an opportunity here for Impey.
This is the way to play the SCG, in the middle. It's not a long ground.
Clinical, isn't it, Richo?
Yeah, now gone out wide, but it's a really long ground, but it's also very wide, and I reckon teams up here at times can get trapped out on the wings.
Yeah, you have to brave up the middle, Richo. You have to take them on up the middle, and here they're just going side to side. Sydney wouldn't mind this. They'll try and close them down here.
It's nearly as wide as it is long, Jude, this ground.
Hartlett looks for a runner. Didn't like what he saw, so pounds the ball long and deep. Westhoff's there, Loby's there. Great body use again. Was it legal? Umpire says yes, and Westhoff lines up for his second.
He's having a big first quarter, Justin Westhoff. He'll be having his 8th disposal here, maybe his 2nd goal. That's twice Teddy Richards has been bodied out. I would say reasonably easy. I reckon Teddy needs to steal his body there a little bit more.
So Westhoff, look at that, directly in front, shouldn't have any problems converting. No real troubles here tonight. He's got a couple, Westhoff, and this is a great start from Port.
Yeah, great comeback from Port Adelaide. Kennedy had kicked 2 goals, and you thought, gee, you wouldn't want the Swans to get the next one. It was a dangerous period for Port, and they've responded with the next 2 goals, hit the lead, and Westhoff's been the major reason for that. He's had 8 disposals, 2 goals, a couple of clearances. He's done it all in this first quarter. So this was the first time that he's been outmarked, Teddy Richards, and the second one, I reckon both times there, he just needed to steal himself, and I reckon he was looking for a free kick.
So 3rd lead change for the night. Loby becomes a rover.
And it was good contested marking too from the forwards. Didn't use their hands. Perfect technique.
So Westhoff, he's got a couple. He's done that 6 times this year. Hasn't kicked 3 yet. You suggest he might have to if the Power can have a win tonight. Jonas, Cahoon. Adam Goods, another week defending his actions from his on-field battles. Time he would have rather spent getting focused for the football, but that seems to be the way with Adam. And Curvis, Loby wins it. Swans get first use of the football, only momentarily though. Kennedy got a couple of goals already tonight, tried to punch it forward on the left. But a Power defence holds up for the moment, and then, well, they almost get what they wanted. They do.
Former Richmond skipper Chris Newman getting involved on Twitter, just having a go at me saying that I said the ground was long. No, it's a short ground, Newey.
Yeah.
But it's a wide ground as well, is what I was trying to say.
So it just makes more sense, Newey. It is actually closer to being as wide as it is.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Whatever they're saying, some old wounds being opened there.
Newey hasn't become one of those that just tees off at home, has he?
Those posts are pretty tall too, aren't they, Richard?
They're big posts, Jude. Very tall up here.
Jude, what are you seeing in this game at the moment?
Oh, it's just tough around the clinches at the moment. Both teams are tackling extremely well at ground level. You can just see the bodies are crashing in.
Gee, that bump then, having seen that on replay, was definitely head high. So I wonder whether that'll be looked at. We might get another opportunity to have a look and a break in play, but he was down low and he was met with the hip, and it looked like it was to the head. A lot of players around the footy. Wines tries to go the direct route. Boak in and under there. Wines as well. So setting the example in here. Ollie Wines did well. Stewart, the late replacement in there. Ball pinned.
Gee, it's a big...
Have a look at this, Richo. Let's have a look.
Oh, gee.
He was just standing there, Hanbury, wasn't he?
I reckon he's used the correct technique. They're telling players not to lead with their heads. They're telling them to go side on.
Both players were as low as they could get then, weren't they?
You would hope that that's just two players with a genuine attempt to win the footy there. We don't want players leading with their heads. That's what we don't want them doing, and I think Hanbury did the right technique.
You've got to get down to pick the footy up.
Yeah, exactly.
Hanbury had one of those that Eddie had a few years ago against Michael Hurley. Very, very similar situation. Got down to win the footy.
Yeah, that's right.
So the Power, after Kennedy's back-to-back goals, have got the last couple in this match, and right now in good shape in a must-win affair on a Thursday night. And what Jude Bolton has described as a perfect night for football. Dry, underfoot, Ebert thumping the ball a long way, buying 15 or 20 metres. Healthy sort of a crowd in. The Power 5 and 7.
High tackle numbers in this game. Both teams are good tackling teams, but that's a high number. We're on target for 100 each at this point.
The Swans coming off a hiccup. Mitchell hurriedly forward. Rowan. So back to Adam Goods. Got the first goal of the game. Kennedy's got a couple. Reid, the other goal scorer for the Swans. Goods kick. Well, it goes in the Mitchell direction. Wasn't ideal. Quickly he comes back inside. The Swans have got a bit to do here. Kennedy back to Lloyd. Lloyd just arches his back. Goes searching. Rowan again. A bump ball. Just held it up. Pittard is with Rowan for the moment. Parker gives a bit of assistance. It's going to come out through Parker in the end. Drop the ball. So 90 seconds to play in the first term. Power with their noses in front.
The skipper to Wingard did well. Smith on that occasion gives Sydney another opportunity here as Goods keeping the ball in front. Jonas defensively nice work as well.
Well, Port Adelaide have got to realise that they have to be close to Sydney at half-time. They've been poor in their second halves in the last month, the Swans. They've only won 3 quarters in the second half of the year since round 8. So,
Ryder, great work then against Mike Pike.
So they're with them at half-time. They're a real chance, Port Adelaide. The Swans have been slow at the end of games.
So down to the last 1.25 minutes here. Mike doing the ruck work, third man up Wines, as he's been a number of times in this quarter already. So 8 goals kicked collectively here to this point in the game. This is a good result. Crowd, as you mentioned, Haim, not bad here tonight. Last time these two sides played here, it was 41,300. Now it's nowhere near that tonight. Just shows you they like Saturday afternoon football at the SCG. That is for sure. It's close to out of bounds on the full. You can see sparsely populated that stand there, but all in all, a good Thursday night crowd. Ryder again in front, doing well. Opportunity on that occasion, Mitchell. A give and go from Parker. Now sends it forward bound. In the air, great grab. Good stuff from Gary Rowan.
She's got good hands, Gary Rowan. It's a great contested mark.
Now we've got to look at this footy from Reid from this position, a little bit further out this time. Even though it is a bit windy here tonight, he was able to absolutely...
It didn't move, did it, Red?
Ball at the footy. There was no left or right, but I guess it depends what the player has in his kick, Richo, whether they generally turn the ball right to left or left to right. Let's have a look at Rowan and see what his natural turn of the footy is. Kick on the way, needs it to work left to right, won't get it. And a minor score. So scores level as we near the end of this first quarter.
Broadbent just goes searching for territory. Ryder hasn't been too influential in this opening term, but he's a welcome addition to this Port Adelaide outfit. He and Lobie have got a big night ahead of them. But at quarter time, the game has no leader. 25 apiece. Thursday night football at the SCG.
Things pointing to a really good contest here. Both sides got going. Their marks and opportunities presented at both ends from some of the star players, and Sydney appear to have no troubles covering the forward issues with marks like that to Sam Reid and goals to Kennedy, Reid and Goods as well. So plenty to look forward to in this game. 4-1-25 apiece at the moment. What about Kennedy? 12 touches of the footy already.
One of TV's greatest dramas. Watch The Walking Dead seasons 1 to 4 with the Presto 30-day free trial. Go to presto.com.au.
And here at the SCG tonight, Tom Jonas has been mic'd up for us in that first quarter. Let's have a listen to some of the sounds of the game.
Play the percentages. The ball's next to the boundaries. Team within a team. Look after each other, all right? You use your run, but don't rely on it. Physical. Hop, hop, hop! Here, here, here! Wait, Bobby, one back. Straight back. Back. Go. Thanks, Mike. Back, back, back. Play on. Look at Paddy, look at Paddy. Left, left, left. Play on. Back here. Brogsy, play tall. Brogsy, play tall. Ah, it's great work.
Appreciate Port Adelaide Football Club and Tom Jonas doing that for us. We'll have him mic'd up right through the game. Jude, how did you see a couple of the stars in Boak in particular for Port in that quarter?
Yeah, just I felt Travis Boak and Robbie Gray didn't really get their hands on the footy. Only both had the 2 possessions that quarter. Expect them to really lift this next quarter.
Second chapter getting underway. Pike and Lobie, the big men in the middle of the ground. Pike getting assistance from the debutant in Toby Nankervis tonight. Parker, well, took on Cracker, did well, had time. He had McVeigh running by. Here's Kennedy, already got a couple. Swings it wide. Nankervis onto the left boot.
Now he's in that other club. Second kick out in the full. Home.
Yeah, it's famous.
At least he's getting his hands on it, the big fella, though.
He's looking
from Georgetown.
Where is Georgetown in Tasmania, Richo? You said near.
Not far from Launceston.
Inland or on the coast?
No, it's inland.
Some famous names, Richo, from Georgetown.
Yeah, we've had a tweet from Georgetown, a couple of other famous ones. Brad Green.
Right.
And Xavier Doherty, the spinner from Tassie.
It's all happening in Georgetown.
It is, Brian.
Down there. Opportunity here, Broadbent. On the boundary, Hartlett, really good user of the footy. Schultz, the cute little give from Schultz, sets Hartlett free, and that kick's not so good. Grundy.
What a player he's been for the Swans over the journey. Via Norwood, he's a constant staple. He's missed, Richo, 3 games, home and away, of finals since 09.
Just re-signed too, Hamish.
Remarkable. Nankervis versus Carlisle. Jack crashes the pack. Gray, brilliant. Little one, Westhoff. Now to Schultz. Back to Jonas. Broadbent. Sweeps it wide. He got a bit of space. Richards will try and corral him for the moment. Left foot. Now tough in the end for Wingard. Got caught behind Nick Smith. He did a good job at taken high. No. On freeze. Went wide. Wines. Little one wider. 2. Wingard back inside. The youngsters combining. Giving it up here, Port. Jack Smith and away. Well, lumbering at the football. Nankervis to Pike. The 2 big men combined. All done over the top. Pike left handball.
Left hand handball from Big Mike. He didn't look too comfortable on it, but he did it well. Jack now sees something on he really likes. Does he let the wheels go here, Rowan? No, he backs it up. He's also a thumping kick, but I'm not sure from there. It's over the top, and getting back here is Reid. They'll have to protect the play on around the corner here from Reid because it's almost a certainty. He's going back like he's kicking the drop bunt, but I don't reckon he will. He now turns sideways, points towards almost the middle of the ground, off a couple of steps, and they do it so well. 2 for Reid.
One of the first times tonight we've seen some real transition from one end of the ground to the other there from the Sydney Swans. Regained possession in their back 50 and then just worked it the length of the ground down to Sam Reid, who's kicked 2 goals. That's great for him, a career best of 6. And they needed him to stand up tonight, and it's looking like he may be able to get the job done. It's an A1 position to be as a forward when you're running back. You've got the defender caught in front of you. You feel pretty confident that you're going to be able to mark it in that situation.
So 2 kicks for the 23-year-old, 2 straight for Sam Reid tonight. Kennedy's got 2 straight too, and the Swans have got the lead back. 4th lead change on Thursday night football. Well, Brendan Archie had it, lost it. Jones to Richards, Smith took on Ryder, did well. Wingard picks it up, quick as a flash.
Alfred's a hiccup though.
He's clean, isn't he?
Oh, geez, clean. Got it to boot really quickly as well. Was under pressure. It would have been a really good goal if he had been able to get that online.
Laidler looking a little confused here at the moment. Eventually sees Goods ride. That's just great use of the foot. He was a little early. No, umpire Troy Pennell says all okay by him. Hanbury now launches up towards Reid. Beautifully across the face of the pack. Could have blazed away and got it into the first game ahead, Nankervis. And guess what? A first career goal.
That was a little bit too easy. There's Reid again. Gee, he looks good when he floats across the front and marks like that. And he's looked good, Nankervis.
The opportunity has presented. And here he is, the boy from Georgetown down there in Tassie. They'll be up and about down there, especially if he gets this. Oh, boy, it was a funny run-up, but he kicked the goal.
Oh, the boys love him.
Nankervis has got his first ever AFL goal.
The big left footer, he's doing it all. He's had an assist, he's kicked a goal, he's had a couple of tackles, he's had a clearance, he's had a mark. He's pretty happy now. He's coming off for a spell. He's been interchanged as well. He's ticked off everything.
Got the standing O now as well to go with it all.
Well, they love him up here.
Well, here he is. Have a look. It's an unusual little run-up and then all of a sudden a turn to the right aim. It's not what I'd call textbook, but it was very, very nicely done.
Had the left footer's arc on it. Ran out to the side.
Little compact drop.
Yeah.
So the left arm quick gets his first AFL goal.
Loved dropping them in short, apparently. Really intimidated the batsman.
Sheridan Kingsley, the parents have flown up today, as we said. They'll be very pleased sitting in the stands.
The last 2 forward entries, though, for the Swans, the Port defenders have pushed so far forward and so far up that they've allowed Sydney to get in behind them.
Pike wanted Kennedy, found him in the end. Kennedy did a good job, had a heap of pressure, and it was a bouncing ball, controlled the opposition and the ball beautifully. Pittard is Jarman Impey, back to Cracker. Thumps it to the wing, couple of one-on-ones. In the end, Boak got Mitchell to beat, and then Mitchell just charges towards the boundary line, did a good job. So Schultz has been offline tonight. Accurate season. Westhoff, he's been impressive. He's got a couple. Reid, the lone goal scorer in this second term.
Yeah, they're getting a bit worried about Kennedy around the clearances because he's on fire in that area of the game. That's his strength, obviously.
Well, Goods.
He's had 5 clearances, so now he's being held.
A lot of power jumpers to beat for Adam Goods. Paddy Carlisle. Big assignment for him tonight.
Just watching Gary Rowan coming off, boys. He's in the arms of the trainer at the moment. Doesn't look good at all.
No, it does not look good for Gary Rowan. That'll be a huge blow for Sydney if he can't get back out there. Wines. In and out when Archie. Over the top back to Wines. Funny little kick, but good stretch from Stewart. Looks for a run pass, nothing on, so in fact there is to Wingard. Wingard's got nothing immediately in front of him. There's no one deep, so he lets it rip with a big ball. Great kick, was it touched right on the line by Rampey.
Yeah, I thought that had the legs send that kick. He looks dangerous though, Wingard. It's one of those nights where it could all happen for him.
Looking forward to going down to Jude. I've been keeping my eyes on Gary Rowan. He looks desperate. He put his hands over his head.
Looks like a hamstring, Hamish. It looks like a hammy, so the sub is warming up at the moment.
Just finding some really good touch too, Gary Rowan. So disappointing finish to the evening for Rowan after a lot of promise early and brilliant last Friday night. Hanbury. Jack should just drift in, did well.
Well, that's shattering for Gary Rowan.
So Jack searching ball inside 50. Ryder had hands on it. Now who just keeps their feet here? Carlisle kept his momentarily. Cahoon gave it off. Good slow ball. Might have been touched. Doesn't matter. One behind.
Yeah, boys, the sub's been made. Gary Rowan, as you can see in this vision, just the hammy just goes, and that bit of footage there. As the Swans, they just absolutely love this guy. He's just a guy who rides the waves of AFL football, the highs and lows, and here's a big low point. It's the 4th time he'll take the subs vest.
So that's a 3 to 4 week injury for Gary Rowan there.
BT's used to overcoming adversity. He had that 483-day gap between matches after he broke his leg, so let's hope he can make his way back.
Broadbent did not make a good fist of that, and you can see the disappointment all over the face, and Gary Cunningham, the sub, is activated, as Jude has just mentioned, as a result of the Gary Rowan hamstring. Looks like a left hamstring. So Jack, from beyond 50, just pops it towards the square. Good looking ball, and over the top it went of Pike, and Reed's able to get it done. I think everyone in front thought that Pike was going to make some sort of contact.
Well, he stepped up, Sam Reed. He's taken 4 marks.
Wants to kick around the corner here again, Richo, and he does that. Done it really nicely. Got 3 Reed. Talk about step up. This man's done it, Richo.
Well, you just need opportunities at times, and obviously with Buddy and Tippett inside forward 50, it's not going to be for you. You've got to find another role, and he's been playing other roles, but tonight he goes and spends all his time inside 50, and he stepped up when needed.
So Reed completing his 3rd goal. Just, Jude, I reckon Port have just lost their concentration at the start of this quarter by the looks a little.
Yeah, just they look really rattled around the stoppages. Just some of the defensive efforts have been really poor. As we mentioned, they're letting the Swans get in behind them, and the Swans look really versatile with this different forward line.
Ryder thumps the ball away. It's going to come back. So Cunningham, who's on for Gary Rowan, little one, Hanbury, Reed. He's got 3 so far this evening. He's been terrific. Cracker runs into trouble, does well, gets out of trouble. Look for Wingard and Gray. Some sort of a combination, hard up against the line. Well, just kept in by Westhoff. Well, no.
Gee, that's tough. He was trying to parallel that ball with the boundary line. He had a metre to do it. It could have easily bounced left. Instead it bounced right, and it's deliberate. That is a tough decision. Ryder somehow kept that alive, although Gray didn't want to.
Hey, Jude, Travis Boak, he's been on the interchange bench, come back on and gone forward. Only the 3 disposals tonight. They're desperate. They've got to get him into the game.
Oh, absolutely. He's so important around those stoppages, and I think they just need to get him in tight. He seems to be, they seem to allow pushing Robbie Gray now in the front of that stoppage.
Just lost their patience a little. Haven't got a lot of the footy in this quarter. It's been kicks like that, whereas in the first quarter they were thinking their way forward and finding the little pass and being patient. Now the last 2 that have gone forward, that one and the one from Wingard, were just long bombs.
Just look at the kicking efficiency also. Sydney running at 79% this quarter, Port Adelaide 53%.
They've only taken the 5 marks this quarter. Port Adelaide, the Swans haven't let them play with that tempo.
So 3-1 to 2 behinds in this term after the game was level at quarter time. The Swans led by 32 at halftime on Friday night last week. The Tigers won by 18. Richo's already mentioned the Swans have had ordinary second halves. The Power have got just on 12 minutes to get back in touch. 17 points in arrears as Cahoon thumps the ball forward. Westhoff, Richards got a fist in there. Jetta kept out of it by Stewart. Stewart did well, got the football while he kept Jetta. Off the ball, Nankervis to Shaw. Now to Jones, to the outer side. Well done, Towers on a lead, and over the top, Lloyd is there, but the fumble just allows Homps back in. Towers did well. Second and third efforts were good. Reed suddenly at half-back, scored 3 at the other end. Mitchell back inside. Good take. Kieran Jack, little give to Parker.
This is going to crack open in a minute. How much more have Port got in them? There's an opportunity for Parker to run inside 50 and ram a 4th consecutive goal home, but he misses badly.
Yeah, he was just a bit knackered as he went to kick that ball, Luke Parker. He's a bit disappointed, but he'd done some hard running to get the ball before he kicked it and just overstrided into that one.
Just feels like they're going to break it open if they haven't already, Sydney, with their 3 consecutive goals in this second quarter here. They led it by 17. Deep in their forward line, Lobie doing the ruck work here. Didn't want to grab it. He knew Pike would immediately tackle him. In goes Cracker low. Opportunity here for Impey. Spun the tackle. Cahoon got it around the corner. Wines goes. Bounce beat him. So out the back door it comes again. But guess what? Sydney queue up at the back. And Shaw, beautifully constructed little right foot Nana. Now an opportunity at ground level for the big fella. The first gamer in Nankervis, and this time the ball's pinned. We'll ball it up.
Yeah, we've mentioned it a few times, but Port have just got to hang in there now. Swans have only won 3 of 10 second half quarters in the last 5 weeks. So there's still a big chance. They've just got to stay with them.
Well, Lloyd's tackle was superb. No, it wasn't superb.
She'd like another look at that one.
He did what all coaches ask you to do as a junior. He was desperate. Ball turned over.
What's that? Not tackle? You don't tackle as a junior, mate. Just go and get the pill.
Rampy, McVeigh loops it over the top. Jetta's got a bit of space. Just contemplates, takes on Cahoon. Look at the pace on the outer side. Backs himself over the top. Lloyd leads Jarman Impey to the ball. Every time I mention Lloyd, I think of Ari Gold.
Yes.
Now here's the tackle.
Oh, he's chicken wing, is it?
Well, I don't think he got pinned for that. I think he got pinned for in the back in the end.
In the back, was it?
Yeah, but gee,
looked a pretty good tackle, didn't it? Most of the way.
It did, Richo. He did chicken wing him nicely. Westhoff. A couple of early goals. Justin Westhoff. Deep inside Sydney's attack zone here once again. Clock ticked over 16, as you can see, about 9 to go. And Port need to respond, and they need to do it in this quarter. They must trim this margin back a little. Got it into a good spot here. Geez, a game kick, but he did well. Pittard now down the middle. This is where they've been turning the footy over, and they do it again. Towers reloads, and here goes Sydney.
Shaw just gets caught on the back foot. Well, you heard all of that, so Shaw back to Jetta, and then a thumping ball forward. Terrific take in the end. Homps, no. Not paid. Ball spilled out the back. Broadbent. Well, he turns it over. Now to Hanbury on the left. Dangerous times. Let off the power.
Really got them trapped in here at the moment, the Swans. So we have a look at that.
Sure.
Oh, gee, I think you pay that. He had that for a long time, Homps.
You have to pay that.
Yeah. He's had a good year, Homps, and I reckon that was a mark.
Just a little bit of panic here with Port, Richo, I reckon.
They're just trapped in at the moment. They cannot get it past this point.
Hartlett wanted to get it out of bounds. He
only 5 inside 50s this quarter, Brian. The Swans have had 11, and they're just really struggling to get through at the moment. That transition that they were so good at last year, it's just not happening at the moment.
70-30 time in forward half this quarter. Obviously Sydney's way. So that is an absolute domination, as you point out, Richo. Hartlett to Ebert. Ebert long handball. Boak back inside. Impey steps through. It's hard work for Port. Boak again. Just bullets his way through. Gave it to Hartlett. Gray, big opportunity. Misses.
That was better, though. They got some link, they got some run, they get a shot on goal.
They actually had an extra forward. The Swans couldn't get one back to actually get an extra defender back, so they had the extra forward there, and they got the hands and the link up, which that's what they needed.
Richoff, there's positives here for Port. 70-30 time in forward half, but the margin is only 17 points.
Exactly, yep. And we know how quickly that can be erased. That can be gone in minutes, the way football's played now. With run-ons, teams get run-ons, and you just got to make the most of your period of dominance.
They've got an opportunity here, the Power, Lobie and Ryder, the two big men against Pike. Here's a chance. Brendan Archie around the corner. Terrific goal. Half a chance becomes a major. Back to 11. First goal in AFL football, and he's done it at the SCG when Port absolutely needed it.
It's a good goal too. A stoppage goal inside 50. Left foot snap around the corner. It's only 11 points, and we've been talking about the Swans' dominance in their forward half in this second quarter. It's a good bit of ruck work there. You can't let Paddy Ryder come third man up. That's the strength of having him inside 50. Lobie was the nominated ruckman. Ryder comes up, lays the ball back. Could have been a little set play. That one looked like it was something that may have been rehearsed in training.
Finally got something out of a forward entry there, Port, but immediately onto the tack. Sydney, Paddy Carlisle at ground level there. Broadbent hovering over the top.
You know it's an opposition goal here at Sydney because it's stone cold silence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great snap.
Absolutely.
Run out on this surface before the game. Gee, it's beautiful playing surface here at Sydney. Parker, how smooth was that off the pack? No one home from Sydney, but Westhoff's got a high one.
There's a few Port Adelaide fans here, though. There were a couple at the airport today. BT, when we got off the plane.
Yes, there were. Richo.
Come up to Sydney for the weekend on a Thursday night, stay for the weekend. Good times.
A couple being the operative. Not a lot.
Actually, there was only two, wasn't it? Oh, well, they're going to have a good weekend.
The coaches. Ken Hinkley explaining what he wants, perhaps to his other coaches there, and trying to get the message to all players. Cahoon through heavy traffic, so just starting to turn a little bit Port's way here. That possession count now would have just reversed a little, but not to the full extent just yet. Here's Grundy, used his hip and shoulder to try and find a way through. Ryder was carried forward in the tackle. Umpire said it was okay. Ball it up, neutral territory.
Spoke about the Swans' record against the Power. In fact, the only player on Port's list to beat Sydney in Sydney is Kane Corns, and he's retired. Monfries and Ryder and Schultz have done it for Essendon and Richmond, respectively, but no Port player has done it against the Swans that currently play for Port. They're in touch tonight. Although the Swans have had a lot more of the footy, they haven't made it count on the scoreboard. So Smith had to be perfect, and it was to Kennedy. Now the overlap. Lloyd starts to run. Pittard closes him down. Tackle is on. Back to Kennedy. Low ball. Oh, Hanbury's hands, wonderful. And then the kick to the big fella. It was all pretty neat and tidy from Hanbury. And Curvis, well, goes to the Swans games record holder. So a man on debut to a man who holds the games record. Now into the square. You can't really weight a ball any better than that.
And Luke Parker takes the mark. They've actually taken 9 marks inside forward 50. And we've still got 6 minutes to go before half-time. That's more than they normally take. So they're spreading the load. They're covering the losses.
Well done, Parker. He gets his first, back out to 17.
So that's a major positive for the Swans here tonight. Reed's taken 3 marks inside 50, and then Kennedy's taken 1, Parker, Nankervis, Goods, Rowan and Hanbury. So they've been able to find a spread of marking targets down there, and that's exactly what John Longmire would have looked at going into the game. No Franklin, no Tippett. We need to share the load. They've done the job.
Look at this smother attempt from Ollie Wines here. That is not good enough. He had the opportunity to jump on that footy then. Down they go, goal to Parker. That was, I know he was tired, but that is just unacceptable. Here's Ryder, out of the middle, long ball to the square. Another chance here for Port. Defending well was Laidler, did really well. Opportunity, ground level, Jones. Got it on to Smith. Here they go, Sydney. Defensively clearing it, and Boak appealing for the free, but never going to get it. Can Port lock it inside their forward half of the ground here for any length of time?
So just to emphasise that Swans normally take 11 marks inside forward 50. They've already taken 9 tonight. So they've been able to cover the losses of Tippett and Franklin.
So Gray, after that remarkable season last year, bursts out and finds Wingard, who's just burst onto the AFL scene and made it look all so easy. This to bring it back to 11 points.
So he always had prime position in this marking contest. Robbie Gray just put the ball up high, but he got in behind the defender, and once he did that, he was always in the box seat.
I feel like he's been around for so long. All-Australian best and fairest. In his 4th year, he's made the big moments his, and that was a crucial goal. He's got a couple, back to 11 again. He's one of those players, Richo, when you see him go near the ball, if you're a Port supporter, you get excited, but you get very comfortable. He'll make the right decision.
Yeah, he's a class act. He's a great decision maker, and there's nothing that he can't do out on the footy field. He's a good mark. As you just saw there, he judges the ball beautifully in the air. He's a natural goal kicker, and he's just got that look about him tonight. Not big numbers, but looking dangerous.
And here we see again Chad Wingard. He's so elusive. Just his ability to get behind Nick Smith and just get enough body work. He's so hard to slip Nick Smith, but just a quality mark inside 50 for Chad Wingard.
It was well done from Lobie too there. He knew that Wingard was the man for the mark, and he just held his opponent out beautifully.
Well, he's kicked at least one goal in each of the past 22 games. Chad Wingard coming off career high 5 versus Carlton the week before the bye. There's Pike through a little bit of traffic to Jeddah. Inching little kick, looking for Hanbury. Almost got it there. Opportunity McVeigh, that don't argue. Really strong. Jones throws it inside 50 and hoped, and he found Kennedy, who's already kicked a couple.
He's having some sort of night. Joey Kennedy, what's he up to there? 19 disposals, 7 clearances, and he's going for his 3rd goal. So this is a massive night. Doesn't get much bigger than that.
Well, this too equally his career high in terms of goals kicked, Richo. He's on 2. Only early in the game here. Sydney by 11. 2 of the last 3 goals, Port Adelaide. And Kennedy with a miss.
It hasn't been his forte this year, the set shots. But, gee, that is a massive night he is putting together so far.
He's been remarkable since he arrived here in Sydney. Top 3 in the best and fairest all 5 years. He's been in Sydney after 13 games over a couple of years for Hawthorn. Ebert, terrific. Thumps it forward now. Thump it where he wanted to. Nick Smith had it delivered. Lace out, so back inside they come. Rampy, who played his first game, missed a couple in the kneeful and hasn't missed since. On the Phelan medal in 2012, and suddenly looks every bit of Swan into McVeigh.
I really like him, Haim. He's a really good, solid player, Rampy. Been very, very consistent. Here's Kennedy checking the mark with Wines. And the umpire goes back. Don't think he can get the journey, but he's just waiting and giving the forwards time for them to try and find some space. Eventually ran out of that, so he went long and high. Nankervis was there. Parker went really hard at the footy. Mitchell got it into a very dangerous position. Parker boot to ball. Didn't quite get it to work the way he wanted. Now Jones, centering kick. Hanbury got both gloves on it, couldn't hold on to it in the end. 2:23 remaining in the half here. Sydney are really pressing. Towers pirouetting, spin out of trouble. Gave it to Laidler. Laidler around the corner. Finds an opportunity with Lloyd. The run of Jeddah from 45 metres out. Misses right.
Yeah, he should have probably done better there. He actually put himself under pressure when he played on. The Port defence came rushing at him and he had got under the ball a little bit there.
Cracker back in, straight up the middle, Ryder. So he's having to wait to get a few players forward. Now Wingard sees something he really likes out the corner of his eye. Hartlett, a really good user of the footy deep. This is a great kick to Gray, and he's been paid the mark. We've seen less not paid tonight.
Well, I reckon Homps had more of one down the other end. It was a great kick from Hartlett. It was low and it got there quickly, Brian, and that was the key to that kick.
Have a look at this, Richo.
Oh, yeah.
He'll definitely run around here. There it is, the benefit of that long, low, hard kick that Richo mentioned. Now he faces the middle of the ground. So professional at this. Has he got it to bend enough? No, he hasn't.
Yeah, you normally back Robbie Gray from there. It was a little bit further out.
Love to know how many more goals the modern players are kicking from the boundary line than the older period in our game where we used to kick drop punch, Richo. I reckon they would be extraordinarily accurate now.
Well, the set shot goal kicking probably hasn't improved, but those ones on the angle definitely have.
The one from the boundary.
A lot better.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Here's Wines. Opportunity, Jonas. 1.25 minutes. West off, and look at this. Opportunity for Impey.
Gee, that was a really good play there. Alapati Carlisle. Have a look at this. He knew that he couldn't take possession. If he had taken possession, Reid was all over him.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's made something out of nothing there, Carlisle.
Big kick for Impey. Not a lot of angle about it. Only a 30-metre kick, and he too has missed. So Port giving away a couple of opportunities in the last 2 minutes.
They're right there, though, Brian, and that's important. Swans have been slow in second halves. We've said it a bit.
Grundy just gets it out of the area, says, I'm sick of this. Let's get it down the other end. Jack's now got to halve it with Homps, and he does. So with 30 seconds remaining, the ball in neutral territory on the wing here. Either team has enough time to score.
And Sydney basically got two behind the ball now. They don't want to concede. They've only got one player inside 50.
Jack, free kick. Back here. High, Kieran Jack.
High contact to Kieran Jack, says the umpire there, Matt Stevick. So Jack sideways and pull down the curtains for the time being. Woods trying to get Jetta to run there.
It's almost like the Swans were happy not to score again in this quarter. There was no one really forward of the ball doing anything.
So there it is. The half-time siren. Sydney doing a very nice job indeed. 8-5-53. Port Adelaide 6-6-42. It was all square at quarter time, Richo, and Sydney really dominated that first half of that quarter when they kicked the first 3 goals.
Yeah, they did, but then Port got a couple, and they're within striking distance at half time, Brian. The Swans will go in, and they'll think we've got to turn around our second halves.
Jude Bolton is down there with Luke Parker.
Luke really took control that early part of the second quarter there, but then just a couple of easy entries late.
Yeah, a little bit, I think. We've just got to get our slide right, make sure we get that going. We want to be the hardest two-way team, and we know we did that really early. Got the pressure up, made them handball, and come forward and close the outlets.
Good luck in the second half, mate.
You're watching Thursday Night Footy on Fox. Half-time.
And it's 11 points, the margin, half-time at the SCG. The Swans seemingly in control, but Port Adelaide are close enough. Let's get the thoughts of our panel for the first half. Dermot, how did you see it unfold?
No problems with scoring, as we thought they might have run into some problems. They have got the half-ton. They extrapolate that out to the full time. 100 points will win them this game against Port Adelaide, but they've only averaged 28 points in the second half over the last 3 weeks, so they left Port in the game.
Baz?
Well, we see the Swans are more unpredictable going up forward. They're taken 11 marks inside 50 already. That's what they average. So they're going along beautifully up forward. Port are in this game, though. They've come to play. And they just need to take their opportunities, Port.
Yeah, the midfield power of the Sydney Swans as well, and truly put Port Power's season on the ropes.
Let's head into the lab and get the initial thoughts of David King and Cam Mooney.
Oh, inconsistent, Port Adelaide. Their pressure was fantastic first quarter, dropped right away in the second. And regardless of what happens tonight, whether you think Sydney can win the flag or not, for me, I'm starting to waver. There's a few holes in that back six, and I think we'll expose some of them post-game.
Look, I think if Port get their back six right, I mean, conceding 11 marks inside 50, Sydney haven't done enough with that stat. They needed to do more. I think Port now run away.
All right, let's take a look at the way the first half unfolded. And they did get themselves back in the contest. Port Adelaide 8-5, 53 to 6-6, 42. Sam Reid with 3. Josh Kennedy has a couple, Wingard and Westhoff 2 apiece. Look at Josh Kennedy, 21 possessions and 2 goals. Not a bad half of footy. Hartlett, Wines and Westhoff doing okay for Port Adelaide. But Sam Reid, isn't it great to see him back in some decent form? He hasn't had that much of it. He's had the 7 possessions, but he's marking it well, Baz.
Yeah, he's marking it well, and he's putting it on the scoreboard, which is what the Swans need. Look, we know as an athlete, he's just been really inconsistent, and this is what we want to see from him, running and jumping at the football. As I said, he's hit the scoreboard, kicking 3 goals. There's an opportunist one around the corner, but this is exactly what I want to see from him. You don't want all the potential in the world just to go to waste. We need to see some consistent footy from him. One fell on his lap there, but that's what he needs. He needs a bit of confidence. It's a big second half for him coming up, though.
Notice everything about that. Every mark he took then, he was actually on the move towards the ball carrier, towards the kicker. So rather than just loitering and being 6'5" and taking his highest point, he was coming towards the kicker.
This bloke's on the move towards 3 votes, I suspect, Dermot. If you're giving him out at half-time, he certainly got them.
Absolutely. 11 contested possessions out of his 21. But what he has done, he's kicked 2 goals. One of the 2 goals has been as a forward. We saw there. Big Nankervis hit him lace out. He spun out of the pack, and he probably thought, I haven't even seen this at training, but I'm going to lead to him and see if he can get it to me.
Well, he's had 7 clearances already.
Yeah.
Kennedy. It's an amazing first half of footy.
Has been spectacular. Lynchy for Port Adelaide. I think Justin Westhoff's done well.
Yeah, the smalls in the forward line look like they might be dangerous, but in particular for the first quarter, it was Justin Westhoff. His ability to mark the ball forward. He kicked the 2 goals and had 8 disposals in the first quarter. He also pushed up the ground to get a couple of clearances as well. So he's playing a bit of a roving role. And obviously it is, I mean, Ted Richards and John Longmire will be very disappointed with that effort in a marking contest. And obviously we know that Westhoff can mark the ball above the head, but he's in this roving role, pushing up to the midfield, and he's starting to carry the ball as well. So he'll need a big second half if Port Adelaide are going to win.
A couple of incidents already that need to be looked at in the first half as we head to the newsroom with John Ralph. In particular, Gary Rowan with a hamstring injury. Ralphie?
You're right, Jason. Isn't this the story of Gary Rowan's career? He's been playing some fantastic football, explosive against Richmond last week, and then the hamstring comes. Now, he was carried off the ground and looked in real pain when he was walking off the ground towards the end of that game. Now, that's potentially a 4 to 6 weeker. We saw Matt White for Port Adelaide a couple of weeks ago who did something similar, and he's out long term now. Gary did tweak that in January, but he has been back playing a lot of football, so a really disappointing thing for him. Now, just the one hit, Dan Hanbury's hit on Jay Schultz. Now, some people might think, well, he did hit Jay to the head, and we'll see this incident now. I think it's the perfect copybook way of approaching the ball. Now, he turned his body into the incident. Now, we did see, of course, he did get him high, but look, I just can't see that there's any other way for him to actually approach the ball. He did have his hands on the ball there, so I can't see that he did anything wrong. Now, there was an incident in round 9 last year involving himself and also Michael Hurley. Now, it's got some parallels there, and again, he was exonerated for that hit. We'll see that incident too, where he actually reached down for the ball, he turned his body into it, and again, guys, if we roll that tape here, I think he's got no problems to answer at all.
Yeah, I thought his technique was absolutely perfect. He was bending down to pick up the ball. He kept his feet, which is what he wanted him to do. He didn't go in and attack the player coming the other way. He was focused on the footy. So I'd be very surprised if there's an issue there. Now, we spoke pre-game about the big story from the Herald Sun, Harley Bennell. What's the latest there, please, Ralphie?
Well, Harley Bennell has not denied that drug taking when he has been confronted by the Gold Coast last night and today. Now, he was desperate to play this weekend against Carlton. That was never going to happen. But he is likely to play after a week of counselling. That would be against the Western Bulldogs. Now, already clubs are calling for radical overhauls of the illicit drugs policy. Potentially the self-reporting would be totally scrapped. And also maybe some of those off-season tests would now be binding for the entire season. Now, it has emerged tonight a horrific and a horrible prank involving Taylor Duray has got him in a lot of hot water. Now, he was involved in a practical joke where he basically filmed himself or took a photo of himself allegedly taking some performance-enhancing drugs. It was only a practical joke. The AFL got involved. They tested him, both urine and target testing and hair testing. Now, of course, he came up clear, but a real reminder for a lot of players out there. It's a bit like talking about bombs at the airport. You just do not joke about these kind of things.
Yeah, it wasn't smart. Good old social media. The boys find a way to get themselves in trouble, don't they? And we'll head into the lab and break down the first half in just a moment. But first, a break. It's Thursday night footy on Fox. The Swans leading by 11 points.
You're watching Sydney versus Port Adelaide. This is Thursday night footy on Fox.
To see Drew Morford back, and the winners returns to Fox Footy. Keep an eye out for that. Not far off a start at the SCG, the second half. Sydney against Port Adelaide. The Swans leading by 11 points. What are we looking for in the second half, Dirk?
I think the Swannies will get it done, but if Port kicks 7 goals, they'll win this in the second half.
Baz?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, it's going to be uphill for Port. They need to win a contested possession, tackling. They need to get a hold of that man, Josh Kennedy. It's been fantastic. Another one is Luke Parker. I reckon he's had a really good first half of footy. Got to contain these two.
What about Port Adelaide, Lynchy?
Well, next door, they put the acid on Paddy Ryder. That man there has only had 5 disposals in the first half. Travis Boak, he's the leader in the midfield up against Kennedy. One's got 21 and 2 goals. That man's only had the 2 kicks, and 2 of those were free kicks in the first half.
Yeah, Robbie Gray's another that's been pretty quiet with just the 9 first half possessions and no goals for Port Adelaide. So it's all about to unfold. It's 3rd against 9th, but so much at stake for Port Adelaide. They must win this one to stay in finals contention as we head back to the SCG for the second half.
The Swans, 6 of their last 10 matches against top 8 sides. Lobie and Pike, not decisively. Jack, he and Boak shoulder to shoulder. Mitchell, Lobie got one side, Gray the other. Boak got down low. Richo's already talked about the Swans' second halves being a problem for them this year. 32-point leaders at Friday night. Lost by 18 against the Tigers. Lead by 11 at half-time. Started the third and Hompsch had it, lost it. Good support from Ebert. Fed it back to Hompsch. Now to Jonas, who we've heard throughout the night. To Lobie. And then the ball into a bit of space. First there will be Hartlett. Controls it well. Has support with Carlisle. Hartlett just signals for him to continue to run on through the wing. Well, ugly sort of a ball. Clean hands from Gray. Tries to shimmy away from Rampy. Does pretty well. Doesn't get flustered, Gray. Broadbent. Had to go low to Gray, and it comes unstuck. Sydney pressure is always there.
Just went nowhere then, Port, when really it looked like they had a promising build-up off half-back. They're really having trouble slingshotting. They're not finding any corridor footy at the moment, Richo.
They had nobody at half-forward there prepared to hit up at the football.
Even that sort of kick there has happened a number of times where you're just seeing the midfielder. I know he doesn't have a lot of time, but just get it in. And it's coming back quicker than it went in on most cases.
Yeah, Rampy's the loose behind the footy, as well as Pittard for Port Adelaide. He's just sitting in front of Luke Parker at the moment back.
So Tommy Mitchell there is going with Travis Boak again at the start of this third quarter. And it's something different for Mitchell, but he's doing a good job.
Boak. Man Richo speaks of there. Westhoff with a good tackle on Layla, but the ball was pinned.
We know Mitchell can get a heap of the footy. He's a natural ball winner. But John Longmire obviously wanting him to do some work defensively, BT.
Thanks, Chuck.
A different role for him tonight.
Laidler, last man up. Third club, first real home. He's integral part of this Swans outfit. Hanbury the tackler. Gray tries to get rid of it. Wines helps out.
Matt, just let him stand up, please. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Straight back. Matt, get the metre. No, 1 metre.
Umpire Matt Stevick giving plenty of instruction. Lobie, terrific. Saw Wingard, just a rare fumble. Got it back to Pittard. Goods does the corral work. Gray threads it through. Pittard on his natural left. Well, diving, but not quite cracker. And the Swans through Laidler. Went looking for Mitchell. He fumbled. Both fumbles too. And Rampy stood up. Jack, they've got to make every post a winner here. The Power and the Swans have nothing forward. Sideways handball. Cunningham. Back it comes to Hanbury. Montfrey's the tackle. Ball spills. Hompsch. He was good. Back it went. Luanda Wines received it from Impey, had it smothered. Parker, little give, miss Cunningham. Desperate ball here. Pike goes after the ball, can send it wide to Goods. Power continue to charge at the footy. They need to hold up. They need the first of this third terminal. Maybe through Hartlett and Wines they can manufacture something here.
Beautiful hands by Wines. Kick good as well. Wingard was excellent with the handball back to Wines. Wines goes long and deep, and using the body was Cracker. And did it well, top of the goal square.
Yeah.
So this is a big, big chance for Port.
It's this handball here. Gee, it was quick.
Was that handball, was it?
I'm not sure if it was a handball. It was a quick one, but it got the ball moving, it kept it moving, and that's what your forward line wants.
Cracker, pretty easy, wasn't it? Got a couple, back to a 5-point margin.
We say it a lot, but I reckon that goal, they get it and they're right back in the hunt. They don't, and they sort of lose a bit of spirit. So important they got the first, and suddenly the Swans, for so much dominance with the football, lead by less than a kick.
Spot on, and it could be deja vu here for the Swans. And that's the perfect start. And it just was free-flowing footy, and any forward line will thrive if you get that. So here's another angle of the Wingard. Oh, gee.
It's a throw.
Did he get the fist to it? Oh, I'm not sure he did. But he got away with it, and they get the goal. The umpire, mind you, was in the middle of the ground. It would have been really tough to see.
I tell you, it puts it into perspective. We're on slow-mo and we can't quite decide.
Still not sure.
So the Power have kicked the last couple. Wingard late in the second. Cracker gets his second to start the third, and Lobie can send the Power forward. Pittard gets on his wrong side. He will back onto the left, comes through a couple of Swans and through the slippery middle. Long ball, Wingard lurks about the place, hits the ground. Monfrey's two. Shaw kept his feet. Rampy, he's on the side he likes. Thumps it to the wing. A couple of Power players out there. First man will be Hompsch, bouncing ball. We'll get back in the end. What does he decide to do? Well, dangerous ball, had to be perfect, and was to Broadbent.
It was gutsy, Haim. It was really gutsy. Well done, Port, as they mount another slingshot challenge here. Alapati Carlisle looking to go corridor. Pittard's providing plenty of run. There it is, back inside now. Now Hompsch got to go direct, and he does. Long ball, Cracker's there. They're all there. Up they fly. Smith couldn't handle it. Cracker got it to Monfries. Monfries around the corner. It's going to be a mark here. A play on to Wingard, and he kicks the goal. Wingard's got three, and Port are in front.
Smart play, Chad Wingard. He couldn't impact the contest, so he ducked out the back. And it was really smart. He weighed up, he did the numbers, the percentages said, there's no point me hanging around here, I'll sift back to the goal square. It's an easy chest mark and kicks the goal. And would you believe it, Porter in front, a perfect start to the third quarter. So have a look at that there. Nick Smith goes for the mark, mucks it up. Chad Wingard knew that. He said, I'll just sit back to the goal square. Knew exactly what was going to happen. No good hanging around the contest, not having an impact there. I'll get back to the goal square. Gets a goal.
Fifth lead change. Third time the Port have been in front, and they've never been in front by more than a point. You just go back to last Friday night. Cochin, Deledio, Vickery and Ellis started the third term in great style. First two to the Power, back in front.
Yeah, you jumped early. No. Time. Agnes,
So an 18-point lead has been given up. Pike sends the ball forward. Nankervis and Reid. Who's going to get a look at this? Reid.
Sam Reid has been, I think the call was he'd been blocked out of the contest. There's the ruck in the middle. I'm not sure 100%. There's Reid. Yeah, he's been held. Fair enough. Wasn't allowed to compete for the ball in the air. Hompsch gives away the free kick.
So Hompsch held on for too long, and they don't pay the ultimate price. So again, we're all square.
So Port have kicked the last 3 goals of this game. Down the middle here, looking for the short way home. Lobie couldn't get a hand on it. Pike could. Mitchell out the back door, bundled out of the way there by Ebert. Beautiful hands by Ebert. Now he's got a one-on-one. Smith and Gray. Danger times here for Smith. Clever play by Gray. Back to Hartlett. Really committed to win the footy at ground level. Westhoff's there. Ball pinned. Sydney did well in the tackle. And we'll have a ball up, attacking 50 here for Port. Rampy, the tackler, scores level. 54 apiece.
Yeah, dominant start to the quarter by Port. 5 inside 50s to 1.
Laidler, well, he gives it back. So Stewart, who was the late in for Trengove.
Yeah, those kicks around the corner out of tight situations in your back 50 normally come straight back your way.
Goes to Hompsch and onto his natural left, long ball. Westhoff front spot, had it a long time. Knocked away in the end. Schultz taken over the line by Nick Smith. Well, a lot of the salary cap watching on. No value tonight.
Indeed they are. And they're not sure what's going to happen here. Looking at the faces there at the moment. Opportunity with Gray. Did he get the free? High, said the umpire. And Robbie Gray.
How good is he in tight space, Robbie Gray?
Really good, Richo.
Oh, he's
really good.
His vision, he loves his basketball, Robbie Gray, and clearly being held around the neck there, but
he's so good at finding the handball between spaces.
And it's guys with basketball backgrounds that are often really good in tight situations, like a Pendlebury, Robbie Gray.
Yep.
They just hold on to it and set up other players beautifully.
Right behind Robbie Gray here. And that'll stay right.
They look shell-shocked, though, the Sydney Swans. They're just really poor start to this third term. Cannot get their hands on the footy, but they've also turned it over when they've had it in their hands.
Saw you chatting to Gary Rowan. What did he say about the hamstring?
No, just pinged as he went to dive for that tackle. He just felt it go.
There's Gray there, setting it up.
Well, Jarman Impey fires it forward. Wanted Monfries. Richards under pressure. Schultz, the tackler. Ball dislodged in the right territory. If you're
now that tackle, now Schultz has knocked him out here, I reckon. That tackle was slung.
Yeah.
It's Richards that is completely out. Now, very similar. Arms were pinned here again. Head has hit the ground in this tackle without any question whatsoever. And Ted Richards has been knocked clean out from the result of that tackle.
And Jay Schultz knew it straight away, showed some real care there.
Some compassion, absolutely.
He knew what had happened.
So they have not moved him. And we saw a tackle early in the first quarter tonight that had the guy pinned, and he could have easily hit the deck and knocked himself out. He didn't. And that tackle is apparently okay. It's a little confusing. Let's have a look here.
The ball was in there. Gee, it's a hard one for Jay Schultz. You don't want to see Teddy Richards knocked out, but the ball's been knocked out. He was committed to the tackle at that point. It's now hard to pull out, though.
The rules of the game, so that is not a sling tackle.
No.
I reckon that's a good tackle.
There were no two actions in that.
But with what we saw the other day from Jude, please join the conversation with Richo as well. Do you guys see a problem, match review problem with that tackle?
Oh, I don't see a match review problem, to be honest. Yeah, as the boys mentioned, it's probably one movement. It's just a really unfortunate thing, and it's such a split-second action to grab the arms and then just roll them over. And you're taught to do it as a young player, so yeah, you feel for Jay Schultz, of course, but just hope that Ted Richards is okay.
And the ball didn't come out of the tackle until he was committed to it. Jay would not have known the ball would spilt free, and impossible to stop at that point going through with the tackle.
Now, it's a real predicament that the AFL see themselves in here, because here you are trying to protect the head, and the head we know is a really important part, and you know we need to get that part of our game right. But where do you draw the line in terms of a tackle that's going to injure a person? Because most tackles are designed to, whether they hurt the ribs, the leg, the shoulder or the head, they're designed that way.
I think the two movement piece is critical to it. I reckon Jay Schultz tackled with one motion.
Yeah.
We'll have a look at it again, but I think it was a terrific tackle, and Ted Richards has landed awkwardly. It's a terrible result, and we hope and we feel for Ted Richards, but it is a weekly assault on body this game, and
I'm positive that's not a sling tackle. That's just a normal a coach would say to
Look
a player...
at Jay Schultz here. He's gone immediately.
That's a perfect tackle. Perfect tackle with a very unfortunate ending.
Absolutely.
So this is going to hold the game up for some time. Jay Schultz looking a little concerned there. Ted Richards still trying to recover. Obviously, he'll take no further part in this game.
Just saw Robbie Gray go over and have a chat to Jay Schultz. He was, of course, the man involved with the Bryce Gibbs tackle where Bryce was suspended.
And there was no anger at all from the Sydney Swan players in the vicinity.
Which I think is the barometer, isn't it?
Yep.
That wasn't the case with Carlton and the Power at the MCG. I think they would have had an opportunity to see it on the screens now, and there's been no bad mood or sound from the crowd. There's been nothing to suggest that anyone thinks it's untoward. We speak of Teddy Richards, and we spoke about how he hasn't missed a game in the past 3 years and how he's had such a renaissance here in Sydney from a bomber. I think he played 33-odd games and over 200 now as a Swan, and he'll get a lot of applause.
You're seeing the players all huddled together. They're just sort of working out how they cover for Ted Richards now, and I think whether we'll see Sam Reid drop behind the footy or not, we'll wait and see. Yeah, they've got a few issues to deal with now, especially with Gary Rowan already off.
They won't be used to it, will they, Jude? Because he's such a constant down in the back six, and he's such a general, and he's got so much voice and leadership back there.
Oh, he organises so much, Ted Richards, down there with Heath Grundy, and as you mentioned, he's just a permanent fixture in the defence, so they'll have to do a lot of shuffling now.
So Richo, it'll be intriguing to see what this does to the makeup of the back line here now for Sydney, whether they have to rob someone from that forward end to cover now both Rowan and now one of their mainstay defenders in Teddy Richards. By the way, we're hearing today that Paul Stewart, who is the late inclusion for Port Adelaide, is coming off something like a 4-day break playing in the Sandful just 4 days ago, Richo. So
yeah, so he's going to get weary by the end of the game, you would have thought, Brian.
And the Swans now, because Gary Rowan's done his hamstring, a man down.
Indeed they are. So we'll wait for this buggy to be cleared. Teddy looks like he's okay as you can be from such a situation there, but he seems to be talking with the medical staff, no problems at all.
Yeah, it just looks like a really, really heavy concussion.
So let's just have a look at the comparison in tackle here with the Gibbs tackle a couple of weeks ago. That was penalised heavily. The sling tackle, you can see that motion there. A lot say he rolled him in the tackle. Wayne Carey says that he didn't have a problem with that, but the MRP did.
Well, a lot of people didn't have a problem with it. I didn't think he was suspended for it, but he was.
Yep.
And all you can do is call it as you see it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens during the week.
So the Swans a man down, the Power a point up. Ryder knocked it down. McVeigh, little quick give to Hanbury. Well, Jarman Impey had it and then just let it go. That would have been a real opportunity to press here for the Power. So they've been in front 4 times. Each time they've been in front by the solitary point. Ebert, he'll find it hard to go anywhere there. He's got Mitchell and Lloyd both doing.
Have a look at this, the double teaming of Mike Pike. Lobie on one side, Ryder on the other. That is a deliberate tactic that's been used 3 or 4 times tonight already.
And they've got a goal out of it earlier in the game.
They have indeed. Archie centering ball. All Sydney here at this stage. Smith takes a nice mark, and have seen that a few times tonight, and it's been really well done by the Port Adelaide players. Here's Stewart, the man we speak of with that short break. He was a late inclusion to the night when Jackson Trengove pulled out, and Impey marks at half-back.
You're not going to get a much better chance to beat a side like Sydney than with 2 of their big forwards watching on. Gary Rowan, who's been in sparkling form, out with a hamstring, and one of their best defenders out also. Archie quickly to half forward. Monfries gets a sit, big fly, couldn't take it out the back. Nick Smith, Gray the tackle, lodged the ball. Schultz, well, he'll get held up.
Sydney just can't get their hands on the ball at all in this quarter. It's 51 possessions to Port Adelaide, 21 to Sydney. So their poor second halves are continuing here tonight, Hamish. They need to get going again, the Swans.
7 goals to a couple, I think, against Richmond in the third term. Last Friday night, tumbling ball, rugged in the end for Goods, terrific for Broadbent. Sweeps the handball wide to Gray. He ducks inside, beats Towers, pulls the kick. Disappointing in the end. Hanbury, a little fumble, but did what he needed to do for the Swans at halfback. So how do they press forward? There's nothing obvious on in the middle of the ground, so Goods provides the option.
50-metre penalty against Westhoff here. This will bring Hanbury right up to centre half forward. They've been trying to get the ball in long to Cracker. Cracker's sitting in the goal square for Port at the moment, and he was really annoyed that that last entry didn't go deep to the top of the square. Here's Hanbury putting into a real dangerous spot. Alapati Carlisle there. Goes to ground. Pittard almost had an opportunity. Cunningham, the sub for Sydney, across the face, but Sydney now lock it in their half of the ground.
Well, only their second inside 50, the Swans.
For this quarter, Richo?
Yeah. So now they get a chance.
Ruckman are back a long way. Lobie doing the ruck work. Nice palm down there to Cahoon. He was tackled, took him head on. He had no prior. The umpire rightly will ball this one up. Umpires tonight, Matt Stevic, Ben Ryan and Troy Pennell. Doing a good job. Mike Pike, little brown one. Ebert was in amongst it, picked up by Goods over the shoulder. That's going in the right direction, touched right on the line by Impey. Boak, I thought it hit his leg across the line. The umpire said no. Impey did well. Pittard handball back into danger. Should have gone the boundary line. Boundary line, your friend, when you're under pressure. Surely he turned back inside. And I'll tell you what, there's a Sydney player that's a little bit sore as a result of this as well. And I think it's Parker that's injured his leg here.
Yeah, Parker's down on the moment.
And he is in all sorts, Jude.
He just can't get to his feet at the moment.
Corky, thigh, not sure.
Well, suddenly the Swans are running out of men. Parker, he's in trouble. Lobie tries to work it away. Jack gets desperate, over the shoulder. Kieran Jack, out of nothing. Swans back in front.
Well, that was something out of nothing, just an arm wrestle to get that goal. There was a bit going on off the ball.
Yeah, well, they attacked Parker, given the fact he was injured, Richo. Yeah, they went after him.
Broadbent went over and hip and shouldered him while he was trying to get up, and then Jetta got involved. Here it is. Lewis Jetta came over.
Lewis Jetta wasn't happy with it, and he went straight over to give it to Broadbent after he just bumped him. He's still just playing deep, Luke Parker, at the moment. He's just standing hunched over at the moment. He's as tough as nails, though.
And that was all happening while Jack was kicking the goal.
It's not a great look when players are injured, is it, really?
No, well, it's the footy field out there, Richo. Here's Wines. Little handball to Pittard.
Spot on.
They go deep inside 50. Without great effect. This one's taken away from Ryder. Needed to be stronger. Here's Wines trying to find a way out here. Goods on the attack. Sprints away. Look at this. The old man taking on the young. The Chiseler needs a good bounce. Adam Goods, you star. Sensational stuff from Adam Goods.
How good was that from Adam Goods? Backed himself in. You love players that back themselves in. Hunched the back. Took the game on. He knew he had an open forward line. Luke Parker led up at the football. He had an open goal square to go to. Used all his experience, summed it up. I'll drill it low and just bounce it through. Let's see if that gives the Swans a lift.
Against all of the odds, somehow Sydney have conjured up 2 goals. Backs to the wall stuff.
You had Luke Parker looking like he spent the last week cage fighting, leading at the ball. Adam Goods, who's 35 and supposed to be wilting, refusing to wilt. He gets his second.
Teddy Richards on a stretcher.
Gary Rowan's done his hammy. Swans fight on. So Jack kicked a ripper moments ago. and Goods bounced one through from long range. Jetta on the end of it all. He might spend a fair bit of his time closer to goal for the rest of this match, given who's not around at the moment. Westhoff gets taken in the tackle by Lloyd, spills out the back. Carlisle, big tackle. The debutant Nankervis gives away the free kick. So Gray and Pittard. Kick's got to be good. Well, there's a chance here over the top. No, gets cut off. Hartley was on, but Towers has got the speed and got to him quickly enough.
A little bit in this game now. A bit high footy. Ryder in amongst a couple and didn't mean to mark that, Grundy, but he did.
Such a game of momentum now, isn't it? Johnny Longmire talked about that after the Richmond game last week. You've got to make the most of your turn when you get momentum. The Swans are getting it now.
Nankervis a little short in the kick. Oh, gee, they were good hands. Really good hands from Archie. Needs to do it again. Now he goes inside, looking for Wingard. Smith got there first, did really well. Ryder with the tackle. Excellent work. Look at the Sydney numbers in the middle here. Hustle, hustle, hustle. They come out with the footy. Now Shaw gets it downfield towards Kennedy. One-on-one with Pittard. Kennedy and Pittard go at it. Got the boundary line if he wants it, Pittard. Couldn't get a touch on the footy, and Westhoff sees it over. Paces picked up. Sydney by 11.
I reckon Pittard will buy Westhoff a cold drink in the summer. He was pleased to see him. The ball was handballed off and Westhoff intercepted. Killed the momentum. And Curvis and Lobie. Hartlett, clever little slap over the top. Gray gives it back to Lobie. Sweeps it to Hartlett. In between a couple of pairs. Grundy took that terrific mark moments ago to Lloyd. Now to Mitchell through the middle. Laidler has some space. Sweeps the handball. Kennedy already got a couple. Long ball. Reed's got three. Neither will score here.
Port have got to get just a little bit of time in possession here now. Take a bit of heat out of it. The Swans are on a roll the last 3 or 4 minutes.
So Westhoff to just settle things a little here.
You didn't think you'd be saying it 2 minutes ago, but the next goal for Port suddenly so important.
Yeah, exactly. It's Monfries, Gray, fast hands. We've spoken about that, Richo. So good. Ebert Impey, eyes on the footy. Wingard, the big fella in there, Nankervis. To ground. Anyone's footy. Smith wins it. Advances at 20. Jonas did really well against the dangerous Goods. Jonas from half-back, really ordinary kick and a direct turnover there to Jones.
Jonas has had a tough season. Footy is certainly a game that humbles, easy to learn but difficult to master, and he's had a tough few weeks. Grundy, wide ball. Mitchell's got a rare luxury of both time and space. Hanbury quickly on and suddenly to Lloyd. Now to Jetta. He'll back himself against Broadbent. Well, he's got the pace. He might be able to get it a second time. Takes him on again. Well done. Impey stood up in the tackle, just blocked him for the moment. It might prove critical. Broadbent, he's gone for territory. Lucky bounce.
Wouldn't get to touch for him.
Umpire, I think, was almost thinking it was deliberate. Long ball sent back inside Westhoff.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because if that ball had gone over, it would have been pinged for deliberate. And that is my point. When you kick it sometimes, you don't know whether it's going to go over. Here's Wines. Only Monfries down the ground, so he looks inside. This is their preferred spot to attack from. Little Archie kick around the corner was always going to make it hard for Ebert. He's got to beat a couple now. Jack ties him up in the tackle. Well done, Sydney. Had another go. Archie went and picked it up like it was on a yo-yo. And Archie now caught in the tackle and a ball up right in the eye-diddle-diddle of the SCG.
That's a good result for Port, a ball up here, because that kick into the middle went to a 2-on-1 and could have so easily been a turnover back the Swans' way. Port will be happy with this. It's in the Wars, Luke Parker.
He's a bull, isn't he, Parker?
And there's Boak's man. So Boak's standing on the mark. Mitchell's been running with him. He did the smart thing and got off him and gets a possession.
So Mitchell just floats the ball forward. Hanbury just works himself into space, and Ken Hinkley will be ripping his hair out.
Oh, he'd be ropeable with that. Van Hanbury just allowed to drop into space. It was a nice kick from Tommy Mitchell there. Saw Hanbury loose. Reid does the right thing and keeps Homsch busy, and he just drops in and takes an easy mark. But who was his opponent? Everyone's looking around. Where'd he come from?
Well, Hanbury has had some sort of a season. They're 7-3 from set shots tonight. Hanbury's averaging 30 for the year, and so often when he's required, he bobs up. This is suddenly the equal biggest lead of the match, and it's coming off the back of Teddy Richards being stretchered off. Gary Rowan sitting on, who is lighting up. He's done his hammy.
I don't think Port have had an inside 50 since Richards went off.
You've got Buddy and Tippett watching on. There's almost 400 games and 1,000 goals. This right now is remarkable stuff.
3 goals, 1-0 since Teddy went off the ground.
Crowd enjoying the fact that Sydney have responded a big way when it was all against them for a moment or two there. Equal. Highest margin of the game, 3 goals at the moment. Monfries and Gray fight each other footy, just one will do. Opportunity Jones underneath, swift hands by Sydney. Grundy with a bouncing ball. Had to attack it on that occasion, Jonas, and he did, but he forgot to take it with him. Hartlett, good tackle on Cunningham. Follow up by Jack was great. Towers juggling ball. Didn't lose possession. Little opportunity inside here for Parker. Spinning out of trouble was Broadbent. Went down with the footy, and the umpire says in his back.
Jude Travis both limping off down there. He looks in a bit of trouble too.
Yeah, it just looks like his left heel, I think he's just hobbling very, very badly coming off.
And as a result, they're one short here. At the moment, Port, Archie almost tripped over. Well, that ball hung in the air way too long. Gray, all he could do was get it to the boundary line. And they are fighting off an attacking Sydney mood right here at the moment as Boak gets some much-needed attention. What do you reckon, Jude?
Yeah, they're just checking his lower leg. Just, I think it's a left ankle or a left heel. I'm not sure. I'll just check it up.
Well, plenty of players have been in the repair shop tonight. And Curvis kicked the goal tonight. He's been doing what he's been asked to do all night. He's been impressive. Westhoff continues to surge after the football. Shaw to Lloyd. Then inside. It's time to Jones. Hanbury, bouncing ball, just lets it settle. Dishes it back, McVeigh. Now to Nick Smith. Low ball, Goods on the end of it. 35 and still doing it at the best level you can do it at. The AFL, and this for his second in the term.
He's going for his third. Goodsy, 10 disposals, 4 marks. You're doing your job if you're playing inside forward 50 with those numbers to this stage of the game.
His 17th season.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. 362nd game, 3rd goal. Adam Goods at 35. Bang. Game-high lead.
They've kicked the last 25 points from the moment that Ted Richards went off the ground, Hamish.
They haven't looked like it, the Power, since Ted left.
Absolutely haven't looked like it. The Swans have dominated that period of time. They made the most of their momentum. And that's what you have to do.
So 4 Sydney goals in a row. Good was with a big one there from 45, and they lead by 24 points. What has happened to Port since the stretching of Teddy Richards? Just switched off. Here's Stewart. Towers drove him forward in the tackle. Opportunity out the back for Jack on his wrong right foot. Sees McVeigh pushed sideways by Homsch. Homsch loses the boundary line. And will throw it in once again near the forward 50 here for Sydney.
Well, Port just seemed to lose all of their momentum when they had to stand around for those 5 minutes while they got Ted onto the stretcher, and since that moment, it's just all the Swans.
Well, Kennedy found Mitchell, some famous names. Is that out on the full? I think so, yeah. So Jack, Goods, Hanbury and Goods again have kicked the last 4 of this match after the previous 3 were kicked by the power. Goods continues to charge Pittard. He gets away from Goods, thumps it long, but he'll give it back, and Lloyd dropped the ball but got awarded in the end.
Boys, Teddy Richards is okay, and also Travis Boakes had that ankle restrapped, and he looks okay as well.
Teddy Richards is not okay to play, though, is that right, Jude?
No, he won't return to the field.
McVeigh. He's got Laidler on this side of the ground, as you see Boak preparing to come back on. There's the big fella in Mike Pike, off hands. Back door here. Need to be swift. Need to find something. Pittard off half back. It'll kick over the top. It's good to Monfries. Angus Monfries. Couldn't really go long. There wasn't enough on offer. Now it comes back to Pittard. Got Westhoff standing at the back. Thought about the lead up here from Ryder. Ignored that, and now putting pressure on Wingard. 60 metres from home. He could find nothing. Just it backwards to Stewart, and Stewart says, OK. Colquhoun, let's just start this again. He went for the all-or-nothing kick it inside. Dangerous. Boy, if they turned that over, it would have almost been a certain Sydney goal. Jonas under Kennedy pressure. He goes back to the last man in the line. Alapati Carlisle. And now Cracker.
Well, they've just got to keep going for it, though, Port Adelaide. Take some risks. They are desperate to win this game, keep their season alive. They've got to take plenty of risks.
Well, maybe here, a chance. Impey lowers his eyes. He's turned it straight back over. He's torched the football and given it to Dane Rampy. Rampy to the outer side. Kennedy, well, the clock doesn't favour the Swans, but they're a chance here. They've still got time. 6 seconds, good for his 4th. Goods can just straighten up. He's got to be almost immediate. He's going to run into trouble. Well, how about that? From a point down, Teddy Richards stretch it off to a 24-point lead. 3-quarter time. The Swans, they're short a man, but they are big on heart. 12-7, 8-7, 3-quarter time. Thursday night footy.
A lot happening in this game, not just the skills of the game, but we've seen a few injuries in this game. That man there, Adam Goods, has been sensational. 3 goals for him tonight, and you can see that Sydney at 3-quarter time lead by 24 points, the biggest margin of the game.
See every episode, same time as the US. Aquarius, exclusive to Presto.
Let's go downstairs. Jude Bolton's out and about, and he's with Michael Voss.
Vossy, how do you get Travis Boak into this game? He's only had the 10 disposals so far.
Yeah, well, we've tried a few different options. We've actually tried him on the half forward and on the wing, but you're right, we need our leaders to stand up now. Travis is certainly one of them.
And you kick the first 2 of the third, and then they kick the next 4. How do you stop that momentum?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had pure momentum, and they were able to hold the scoreboard a bit. We didn't maximise our opportunities. You know, even coming inside 50, we just didn't, you know, we should have probably lifted our eyes and got the ball a little bit deeper. So just the right options at the right times, and you know, we just got to, you know, stop the scoreboard. So we've got a challenge in front of us, but we've just got to get some forward momentum from here.
Good luck, mate. Cheers.
Michael Voss there, one of the senior assistant coach with Port Adelaide. We saw Teddy Richards get knocked out in that quarter from a tackle that I think most of us here, in fact all of us, thought it was a legitimate tackle. It was an unfortunate ending to the tackle, but you can see that Jay Schultz was immediately worried, and he is fine. And then this, well, a goal was being kicked. Broadbent came in with Parker while he was trying to get some attention, Richo.
Yeah, pretty much nothing in the Broadbent one. You know, people are going to comment on this tackle. I thought it was okay. I didn't think there was a two-action movement about it. We'll find out, though. A lot of people would disagree.
Final 30 minutes. It has been full of courage and fight and belief from the Swans so far. Can they hold on? A man down. Port playing for their season. Kennedy thumps it forward. Stewart had it, fumbled. Reid. And then Curvis already got one. This defies the odds what Sydney are doing here. Sydney have wrestled the momentum back.
Well, we just heard Vossi then. Port had it, didn't quite make the most of it. Sydney got it, made the most of theirs. And that's the difference.
They still have 18 players out there, though, Holmes. It's not as if they're short on the field.
But they've got Buddy and Tippett and Rowan and Richards all just watching on. And this side with 650 gamers or less,
the premiership contenders,
are flying along.
Should be able to do that.
Well, they're doing it well.
Well, Reid and Goods have done what they needed to. 3 goals each. We said who was going to replace the big fella there on screen tonight, and Kurt Tippett. They've done that. 6 goals between them for the 2 key forwards. But don't forget, those guys played key forward in the premiership team.
We spoke to Buddy earlier tonight, Richard. Yeah. How was he?
He's good, Buddy. I think he's aware that you just can't bump and hit guys in the head anymore. And if you choose to do it and you hit in the head, you're going to get rubbed out. Simple as that.
I took from that interview also he felt pretty lucky with one.
I think he thought that, yeah.
So Laidler, a couple of games with the Cats, slim pickings under Mick. Enjoying life in Sin City. Cunningham started as a sub. Came on for Gary Rowan when his ice went on the hamstring. Reid, he's been terrific forward. Nankervis, Parker.
It's looked all right, the big boy from Georgetown.
Where is Georgetown? I asked you earlier, Richo, whether it was inland or on the coast. You told me it was inland, but is that right?
Well, it's north of Launceston. It's at the mouth of the Tamar River.
It's on the coast.
Yeah, it's on the coast, and I've been smashed about it, so
it's definitely in Tasmania.
It's in Tassie, I know that much.
Well, Richo, he was virtually a neighbour. Didn't know where it was.
I've never actually been there, to be honest with you.
That's where Toby Nankervis is from.
So I apologise to everyone from Georgetown.
The Georgetownians?
I had my geography wrong.
It's Lloyd.
And I've been told by about 1 million people, so...
Good to get feedback.
Oh, yeah, I've had real positive feedback too. I feel awesome.
Yeah, a lot of positive feedback in those social media. There he is. Here's Parker. Great mark.
I couldn't feel better about it. So big Nankervis, so getting back to him. He's been really good tonight as well. So came into the team, given a good contest.
Both warming up on the ground around the corner. Good pull for the footy, and fortunately for Port, Westhoff able to get a fist on it.
Substitution office of Gonzalo, the sub Andrew Moore is on.
So we just heard ground announcer Carlisle off, Moore on. When I say Moore on, I mean Andrew Moore is on, not Moore on. I think you know what I'm saying.
I knew what you were saying, Hope.
There's more.
So they just need to go quick now, all the time, Port. Nothing to lose. Want to keep their finals hopes alive.
Well, at the moment, it's all Sydney by 26 points. Well, a little fumble in the end from Jonas. And it's come unstuck in a big way in the last 15 or 20 minutes of this game.
Let it go now to throw in. Let it up. Let him up. Thank you. Thank you.
Good umpiring, that, isn't it? Just come in, let go, boys, get up. No pony free kicks.
Ebert and Jack, a couple of tough individuals, shoulder to shoulder. Homps fired out the handball. Mitchell had it, just couldn't keep a hold of it. Jetta watches on as Kennedy does the bullocking work. Mitchell has his kick impeded. Cunningham to space. Lloyd. And then Cahoon just goes back. Looks ahead. And this is what they've been faced with all night. Just relentless pressure. Hurried ball to the wing. And Boak, who's been unusually quiet, again faces plenty of opposition. This time it's Rampy who gets a paw in the way.
Only the 12 disposals to Travis Boak. He's been tried at half forward, the wing, as Boss said, at 3/4 time. Tom Mitchell What a great job he's done. John Longmire will be absolutely thrilled with that.
And those 12 that he's had, Richo, at 55% effective, so cut that in half as well. Lobe, I reckon that hit him right on the head. Impey, they don't argue, did it really well against Lloyd. Kick inside 50, not what he would have wanted, but not without a chance here for Port Adelaide. Here's Westhoff, keeps it back in, got in a dangerous spot. Boak went the banana, probably could have gone the drop punt. He felt comfortable with it though, and misses.
So Jude, Horse would be wrapped with Mitchell tonight. Is that something you want him to improve, the defensive side of his game?
Yeah, certainly it's been his accountability. That's probably what held him out of the side initially, but everyone knows how much he can win the footy. He's already got the 18 disposals tonight, even on Travis Boak, but just that accountability has been fantastic.
So that point was the first score for the Power since Ted Richards disappeared. A couple of tall men fly. Westhoff, not quite. In then Schultz. Waiting a long time, Hanbury. He's charging towards the members' side. Nankervis went looking for space. Ball just got knocked back. Stewart inside to Wines. Tough, terrific, stood up. Brendan Archie, little handball back inside. Intercepted Laidler. This time the outstretched arm did enough just to stop the Power run. And they have been stopped in their tracks in the last, let's call it 25 minutes of footy.
The Swans are a very good defensive team. We know that. They only concede 68 points a game.
We said they'd need to kick 12 or 13 to win Sydney and find those out of players other than Tippett and Franklin. They have. Not across the line yet. 25-point margin is nothing in the modern game. It's a quick 10-minute spurt by a good side these days. And Port have got something worth fighting for. But Sydney are just doing it a little bit better here at the moment. Through goes an opportunity. I think it was Grundy that went through there. It was indeed. So McVeigh to kick the ball back in here. Elects Jetta and finds him absolutely perfectly. That half-back, Lewis Jetta.
Well, you see the big pack fly and Parker, who was hobbling about in that third term, seemingly moving the Lesia now. Pittard on his wrong side, misses a target. Stewart was the target. Hanbury just fires it forward. Towers with the speed. He's lost his feet. Pittard, away from Torquay doing the tackling.
They've left that 50 open a lot tonight, the Swans, like completely open. No forwards in there. We saw Goods kick that goal in the third quarter where he just ran through 50 and dribbled it through. So be prepared to get right up the ground and leave a lot of space behind tonight.
Moore almost passed it to Boak. He stood up with the ball, lost it. Wines. The youngster just hacks it towards the wing. Rampy picks the man in the middle. This time it's Jones. Had enough time to get it again after the initial fumble, but the tackle came. Hartlett over the top, must kick a goal. Hartlett, he's bounced it through. Back to 3 goals.
Gee, needed to do that. He burnt Wingard as big as a burn as I've ever seen.
Well, he backed his kicking in, Brian. He's a long kick at the footy. There's Chad, who's kicked a goal in each of his last 12 quarters, so he was going for 13 in a row, the Chad there. But he said, nah, I don't need Chad. I'm doing it myself.
You're going well if you don't need Chad.
The Chad. Look at this, Brian.
Richo, tell me whether you've ever been burnt like Wingard has here.
He's singed. He's definitely singed the forehead there.
Lucky he kicked the goal. It's back to 18. Game on again. Here, make no mistake, it is back in and back on.
Chad wanted a goal there. He was going for 13. He's going now for 13 quarters in a row, Brian, with a goal, at least one goal in each of those quarters. And he wanted that one.
Here they go off half back again. Cahoon. Lead off it at half forward. Kick had to be good. It's to a 2-on-1. Odds were never going to be great. And Sydney do really well. Opportunity now. Picked up by Kennedy. Jeddah, very, very cool and mature as he goes backwards and finds Mitchell. Mitchell has a look around. What can he conjure up here? Very creative with a kick, but this time Cracker gets back. Should have marked, recovered and finds Homsch.
Richo, to your point about fourth terms, the Swans not being terrific, in the last 4 games, Port have kicked 18 goals and conceded just 6 in final quarters. So they will have some belief about them. And
so you're saying game on?
Absolutely game on.
It's on here now.
Yeah.
Wingard,
look at this.
Got a runner. Boak, bouncing ball, missed one moments ago. Can he make amends? Arches his back, sends it back inside. Little one for Impey, back to Boak, tried to get it to him. He couldn't. But what can the power muster? How brave are the Swans?
It's that sort of night for Travis Boak. He had a heap of space there inside 50, and the ball just was too far out in front for him.
This game has ebbed and flowed, and I'm just feeling at the moment here, even though that was a throw by Gray, that Port are feeling like they're a chance, but I reckon they're 1 goal away from getting everybody on board and really believing. Here's Reid. Kicked 3 tonight. What have they got left here, Port Adelaide? Reid goes down the line, high footy. Pittard sets himself for the mark. In front was Ryder. Off hands, Wingard. Electric play. Impey with just the 1 claw. Long ball. Schultz hasn't done a lot tonight. Grundy under Westhoff pressure. And they've got it back where they want it here, Port Adelaide. Deep inside 50.
So let's watch here with the ruck situation. We know that Paddy Ryder has been coming 3rd man in.
And here they are again.
Here he goes again.
3-goal game. Ryder went searching for Graves in the right spot. Broadbent knocked it down in the end. Towers to Parker. Only 1 man forward. The ball goes in that direction now. Shaw, Pittard, he lost his feet. He's got support. Cracker. Well done. Just pulled the kick. Didn't blaze away. Jonas. Now Brendan Archie. Tall Timber awaits. Schultz had it. Couldn't complete it. Hartlett kicked the last. McVeigh was the tackler. Laidler coughed it up. Gray around the corner. It's a 2-goal game.
It's a genius.
Gray is a genius. Well, I'm not saying it's quiet here at the SCG, but I reckon you could hear a mouse yawn. They are suddenly concerned, the Swans fans.
Oh, absolutely. This guy here, it's just the way that he can work in these tight situations and create something out of nothing. He does it so often. Gets it to his foot, around the corner. Big centre clearance coming up.
Have a look at the live ladder. Swans came in 9 and 3. Power came in 5 and 7. Sydney, you would think, has to win this one because they need top 2 finish given the percentages of the Hawks and the Eagles, and Fremantle look like locking down 1. Port win or season over.
And I reckon Port have got more to play for here at the moment. And here is Homsch. They're going to give it everything here. They understand there's the sub in more. Little chiselling ball to Boak. Boak 60 metres out. Building here, Port. He wheels and goes. Long ball. Ryder. Schultz. Over the top. Ball knocked to ground by Rampy.
But they're starting to just wheel and go. They're playing on instinct now. They're not hesitating. Look at the inside 50s. 10 to 3. It's all Port's way. There's a bit of a sniff and instinct coming into their game, and they can't keep let that happen, the Swans.
The Ryder 3rd man up, Richard.
Oh, they've got to stop him from doing it.
Here's Boak in there looking for Gray. His eyes lit up when he saw him standing outside. Here he is again. Boak gave it to Monfries. Monfries to Wines. Wines gives it out. Opportunity. Gray had to give it up. Broadbent goes for all. Nothing misses. Behind there, so down to 11 points. And they are pressing big-time Port.
Only 3 players, Richo, on the ground weren't in the Powers inside 50 that last minute or so. So they're going to try and bottle it up, the Swans. They've got a lead they're trying to defend. They're a man down. Shaw has got Cahoon chasing hard.
And that might be a factor. A man down. They've been 1 less rotation for a long time now, the Sydney Swans. Is it going to hurt them?
Pike and Ryder, this time no third man. Archie at the fall of the ball. So Pike, first game back after missing one with a knee and enjoyed the bye, nursing it. Westhoff, front spot, Laidler. He's given away the free kick, so this suddenly a critical moment.
And he has to now play tall, Laidler on Westhoff, and he gives away the free kick.
Top of the square, Schultz, Wingard. Wingard stayed down. Smith not happy to concede, over the top. Now to Lloyd, to Towers.
Towers is held up by Pittard.
Yeah, well done, Pittard. Just did enough there without giving away a 50-metre penalty.
One-on-ones everywhere except here where Jones is marked.
Lewis Jetta is inside 50 on his own. You can see.
Yeah.
No one is spotting.
Look at him right up the top left of your screen there.
If they can just get it down there.
They can get this over. Broadbent has just realised, but he's not going back to pick him. He's saying, no, we want the extra where the footy is so we can attack. And now the fingers point back to Lewis Jetta. And here he comes to join the action now.
Sort of Stevie J stuff, just lurking around by yourself, hiding behind goalposts.
He sneaked on there.
Pittard goes back. Hanbury wide with the footy. Now Mitchell launches a high footy. Goods here in front. It was really well done by Goods to allow Parker then to go for the mark uncontested. Great kick by Parker to Jack on his wrong right side. Little left footer, didn't get enough on it. Pittard's got to keep his feet, he couldn't. Lewis Jetta looked around, almost showed him the footy then, Lewis. And he's kicked the goal for Sydney. They lead it by 17.
Oh, that hurts, doesn't it? Absolutely kills you when you go to ground. Coaches hate it when players lose their feet. And Lewis Jetta has made them pay. He was on his own forever. And he did eventually get opponent in Pittard picking him up, but he went to ground. Oh, it's tough now. Look at Kieran Jack there. Outstanding. He had to do some gut running. He had to burst into space. And then Pittard goes to ground. Tough call. He was trying to spoil, but he went to ground. Jetta kicks the goal. But Jack was prepared to run hard into space, which creates that.
Well, Pittard, can he help out his teammates here? He delivers. It's a good ball. Schultz had it. Then Rampy just knocked it out. It was terrific defensive work from Rampy. There was one bloke with a stat Rampy there, but that was in the breadbasket for Schultz.
Yeah, good. Just got the fist in. Great spoil. Just that before, Jack's the one player who really wanted to make something then and pushed hard. It was great.
Clock now. Sydney will be looking at the clock and realising 8 minutes. And not far off, just shutting it down here, Sydney. So Port will need to kick the next goal to keep them honest. See what they can conjure up here. Nankervis is going to do the ruck work against Ryder. Did well, pretty even contest. Nankervis perhaps won it down to Hanbury. Kennedy gathers, quick flick there to Goods. He had no intentions of going anywhere except the boundary line. And we saw a similar one to that night. Similar one to that tonight, paid, and that one was okay. Mike Pike with Ryder. Lobie over the top, third man up, and we'll throw it in again.
Valuable seconds for Port Adelaide, though.
Two anxious men, 7.5 minutes to try and hold on or try and find a way. They need 3 goals at least, the Power. Boak went searching for Archie, couldn't find him. Make it Impey now. Hanbury around the corner. Nankervis is there. Jonas quickly to Gray. Banana ball inside 50. Wingard flies. Monfries. Jones did a good job, just did enough. And then Archie dished it off. Moore started as a sub. Back to Jones, now to Laidler. And Curvis is in the right spot. Tommy Jonas knocks it back. Lobie, good give. Moore, Hartlett. This is a must-grab ball, but no one at home for the power. Rampy, right spot, right time.
They are pressing here at the moment, poor, but very, very resilient. The Sydney Swans. Grundy's kick's a beauty. Jetta trying to pick it up off his shoelaces, couldn't complete it. Hobbs comes through. They'll launch and go again here. Short ball. Archie didn't attack the footy, waited for it. Now he has to go and get it. Kick around the corner. High ball. Boat's marked. Boat needs this goal to put him back in business. This to get it back to a 2-goal game.
Well, the skipper has lifted in this last quarter. It's 16 inside 50s to 4 Port's way in this last quarter.
Boak. A kick of only 20 metres, the 45-degree angle, there it is. We are right behind him. He must kick the goal to keep their season alive. And has that hit the post? No, he's got it. So Porter's still in it.
Tell you what, you wouldn't want another coat of paint on the goalpost.
Oh, it must have been really close. The crowd's obviously not going to give you any indication here. No Port fans down that end of the ground. Well done, Travis Boak. He hasn't had a big night. Mitchell did a great job on him, but he's been playing forward most of this last quarter. He's had 7 disposals. Kicks that goal. Less than 2 kicks in it. Have a look down here inside Port's forward 50. They've got a lot of loose players standing there. Archie Cunningham's getting back now.
So Boak squeezes it through, and importantly, it's under 2 goals the margin now. Jones, terrific stuff. Took on the game to Jack. Downtown, who's on offer? Parker circles, gets in front. Huge stuff from Luke Parker. He doubled back a couple of times, and in the end, he's gone searching for Jetta, knocked away.
Oh, boy. 5.5 minutes, Sydney by 11 points. Very nervous Ken Hinkley, I would suspect.
How good was Zach Jones then coming out of defence?
Sydney, incredibly tough team to beat given the circumstances here right now. 11 points and 5 minutes to do it. Port Adelaide, though, you definitely get the feel they have not packed up shop. Sydney got it locked in their end, and you reckon they'd be happy with ball up after ball up after ball up. Went and got it Wines. He had a great clearance before. His handball went straight to Cunningham. Cunningham around the corner. Kicks the goal.
Oh, big goal from Cunningham. And that really hurts Port Adelaide now. They've really been gutsy in this last quarter. They've given it a good crack, but they've just never quite been able to narrow that margin down. Back out to 3 goals. Just need everything clean now, Port Adelaide.
So a 24-point lead was eroded to 11, back out to 17. Still time. Just on 5 minutes. Season on the line for the Power. Top 2 finish. That's what the Swans are hoping for at the end of the home and away. Here comes Boat. Kick the last. Long ball, floating ball. Oh, bouncing ball.
He needed a leg spin bounce there, didn't he?
He needed the Gatting ball.
Yeah, he needed something special.
How brave have the Swans been?
Oh, they've been sensational, Haim, and they now know that with 4 3/4 minutes remaining, just a minute or 2 off the clock here, basically ices the game.
Yeah, you ice a minute here and it's just about impossible.
Don't worry about waiting until the end of the game and giving them a chance. Ice that minute now, and then they will be against it on the clock.
Well done by Port, though. They didn't allow Sydney any easy short kicks. They forced them to kick long. That's the worst result.
They're so well drilled here, the Swans. They'll bail out long, take a bit of time, get their structures set up, just going long down. You can see them pointing down the line.
Yeah, Parker to Jack.
There's Jack again, though. He's worked hard twice now to create options, just through a bit of gut running, a bit of desire.
All using their allotted 5 to 10 seconds to kick the footy. And Goods there, trying to get it towards the boundary line. Hartlett to Moore. Paddy Carlisle, the man that came off the ground to allow Moore to come on the sub here tonight. There was a late change, no Trengove tonight. He was a late withdrawal, replaced by Paul Stewart. Impey around the corner, high footy. Lewis Jetta tried to attack it. Laidler had it covered there for a moment. Westhoff to Ebert. Smith there as well. Parker. Another great game from him, and Archie will launch long with his non-preferred left. He won't get it over McVeigh, though.
Well, this is going to be some sort of a win. I mean, we've all heard the story of Sam Kikovic, where he and Barry Cable take on the whole Geelong outfit by themselves, and they lead at half-time before Barry wants to go and have a bet. But it's not quite in the same ballpark, but it's going to be a brave win if they can hang on here. And they're doing everything right. They're mopping up the clock. They're getting the men in the right positions in the back half. We've got 6 players under 50 games. Mitchell, Jones, Nankervis, Cunningham, Lloyd and Towers have been terrific. So Hanbury, happy just to see the ball along the boundary. And with 2.5 minutes on the clock, the Swans in great shape. Lee Matthews' theory, goals and minutes, 3 goals. It would take something from here.
Ryder, you can get a goal a minute.
Over the back. Perfection required to do that. 2:24. 16 points. Johnny Longmire would be an extremely satisfied man off the back of their loss to Richmond last week. They win here and they travel to Brisbane, the Gabba. Next week is Gray with half back to Moore. Goes wide, finds an opportunity with Pittard, who hasn't stopped all night.
What they did tonight, the Swans, they got a good spread with their goal kickers. 9 goal kickers out of 14 goals, so 3 to Goods and 3 to Sam Reid.
I think
we ticked off what they needed to do, Brian.
Yeah, we had more concern than I think Sydney did about finding goal kickers.
I think they were pretty confident of it.
We mentioned pre-game, the last time there was no Tippett, no Franklin. They had 12 individual goal scorers. Kicked 18 for the night.
Well, it just forces you to go to different targets down there, and that's what they've been able to do.
Pike, who's come in under a cloud, knocks it to Kennedy, who's been superb, and he started like
he's had 11
shot out of a gun, but couldn't finish there.
He's had 11 clearances, Josh Kennedy.
Total numbers, 33 and 8 tackles amongst it all. Jarman Impey, low to Lobie. Just dancing around at half-back Lobie, but it'll be the Swans that cheer tonight.
And will indeed. As I mentioned, Sydney against Brisbane next week. Then they've got Hawthorn, West Coast and Adelaide. As far as Port Adelaide are concerned, they play Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval next week. Good-looking kick to Schultz here. Adelaide, Essendon, then St Kilda. Jay Schultz has been very, very quiet in terms of goals. In fact, Schultz has kicked 20 goals from their 5 wins this year and just 5 goals from their 7 losses. Here he is looking for his first of the night. Schultz, he is a dead-eye kick, and that is no exception at all. Has it got the journey? It has. So Schultz gets a late one here. Well done to Jay Schultz with just the 30 seconds remaining. So it's back to an 11-point margin here, but with 31 seconds on the clock.
Just about done.
done, I'd say.
Is it? I think it's impossible. You'd have to have two of the most perfect clearances and marks inside 50 you've ever seen.
So Sydney, with just the 3 losses for the year, Hayne, have done really well up to round 14.
Yeah, the Dockers and the Dogs and the Tigers, the only sides that have been able to humble the Swans.
Got 10 defenders inside 50, the Swans, so it's not going to happen.
It's been some sort of an effort from this Swans outfit. Broadbent goes searching for Pittard, finds him in the end. Jones just lost his feet. Pittard runs to 50, thumps it long. Who's at home?
Oh, gee, if he had kicked it. If he had kicked it,
they would have had 9 seconds from the middle, Richo.
If he kicked that, the Swans would have had every player inside 50 on that last.
Including John Longmire, Buddy and Tippett. Hey. What a night. They've been down star power pre-game, down a man during the game, but they'll collect the 4 points.
They will indeed. They've done it in fine style. They were challenged several times tonight by Port Adelaide, but they are a very resilient side, and they've got a top 2 position on the ladder, and they deserve that. And they are one of the contenders this year. Make no mistake about it. So 14-10-94 Sydney to Port Adelaide 12-12-84. Let's get down to Jude Bolt.
I'm here with a man who had 34 disposals, kicked 1 goal. Dan, how big was that win for the club?
Oh, it's massive. Last week we were really disappointed. Richmond really showed us up, and we know Port Adelaide are a quality team. They've been up and down, but we know what their best is like, and we thought they were really good tonight, and we had to match them, and great to get the result.
You spoke during the week about a pretty brutal review. Did you feel like you were being crucified for probably one bad half over the last few weeks?
Not really. It probably happened for the last 4 or 5. Our second halves have been pretty bad for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but for us it's basic, really. Effort and contest the ball, and we get that right, generally get the result. So tonight I'm not sure what it was, but I'm pretty sure we got that win there.
And 9 separate goal kickers, a couple of multiple goal kickers, pretty special.
Yeah, we needed to. Buddy and Tipper are obviously out, so we needed to step up midfielders and also other forwards that went down there. So I'm really pleased with the result for the boys.
Good work, mate.
Thanks, mate. Work forwards.
Well done to Dan Hanbury, game 133 for him, and another very, very fine game indeed. What do you end up with? 34 touches tonight and a goal to go with that. Let's get back to Jude.
I'm here with Josh Kennedy. He had 33 disposals. He had 11 clearances and kicked 2 goals through. Josh, it was pretty tough in tight there tonight.
Yeah, it always is against the ball. We know they're aggressive side, and when they get it going, they're pretty hard to stop. So, there's a lot of momentum shifts in the game, and we did well, especially in that third quarter, to wrestle it back. We'd never repeat of last week, which is good.
You're also a man down initially with Gary Rowan, and then, of course, lost Ted Richards as well, but that was when the team really lifted.
Yeah, it was. It was tough with the rotations and stuff, but, a couple of guys really dug in. Hannah's third quarter was sensational, and, it was a really, really good effort across the board. Our defenders really stood up as usual, so it was a really, really good win, and, we needed it probably after last week, which is good.
And now, I guess, set for Brisbane up at the Gabba next week?
Yeah, we got a bit of a break now. I think we got the next Sunday, so rest up, which will be good, and get up there. They're playing some pretty good footy, so we'll have to keep going.
Good luck, keep your form going.
You're watching Thursday Night Footy on Fox, post-game.
So 10 points the margin, another win to the Sydney Swans, their 10th of the season, so they find themselves in very good stead. Port absolutely teetering at 5 and 8. It wasn't the prettiest match, Chance, but they got the 4 points. I think that's probably all John Longmire was looking for, given there was no Franklin and Tippett there.
What was it? Third played 12th at the start of the game. Honestly, if you tuned in, well done. They got the points. It could have been 10th versus 11th. It wasn't a stylish game. You win them when they're up for grabs, but it wasn't stylish by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it was good. It was good to see Sydney evolve their forward line. They had Sam Reid. It probably hasn't marked the ball overhead for quite a while in the forward 50. He kicked 3 goals. Goodsey chipped in for a couple. But it was their midfield depth that was the real difference between the two sides. Boak was clamped well in that first half, especially from Mitchell. And I think across the board, although it was only 10 points, the Swans were pretty convincing throughout the night.
Did you see there the big debutant, Toby Nankervis, 10 possessions and a goal? It wasn't a bad first game, was it, Baz?
He looked okay. He had an interesting goal-kicking routine, but look, probably a pretty good first-up game for him. But there's such as going to be is, Sydney's forward line, pretty unpredictable tonight. Are they too predictable going into a final series? We know it's Kurt Tippett and Buddy Franklin. They're unpredictable tonight. They had 14 marks inside 50. They had less inside 50s than Port and still won the game. So probably that unpredictable element is a good one for him.
Goal off 100 points as well. And look, he didn't have a great night, but Alipati Carlisle got taken from the ground. He was subbed out, which suggests that Port Adelaide, as the game unfolded, said, you know what? We don't really need Alipati because we need a big key forward to put him on, and they're not staying there long enough, and they're giving the ball to smaller players as they come forward.
There's Teddy Richards, obviously, that was carried from the ground, so good to see him up and about. He looks like he's pretty right there, but that'll be probably doesn't know where he is. He thinks he's at the MCG, and it was a good victory to South Melbourne.
Yeah, we'll revisit that tackle again shortly as well. The Sydney midfield led by that man there, Hanbury, Kennedy, Parker, Jack, they were good again. 3 goals to Adam Goods. Jason, how'd you see his game? And, OK.
Chief, didn't want to give you too much there?
Sorry, I was just I was occupied.
Yeah, I was just, how'd you see Adam Goods' game today?
He kicked 3 goals. He filled a hole for them. I don't think he's perhaps doing as much as we'd like to see Adam around the ground, and certainly from a defensive perspective, I think there's a room for improvement, but 3 goals invaluable given the other 2 key forwards weren't there.
That's right. He did provide an option. I thought Sam Reid was the key lead-up forward, which played a very important role early in the game, especially.
Geez, his hands look good, Sam Reid. They just want him to get more of the footy. He just needs to keep presenting.
Well, he faded out of the game in the second half a little bit, but we need his consistency up, and it's obviously back work rate, as we spoke about him at half-time. Yeah, we know he's got the athletic ability, he's got the skill. He just needs to consistently do it, and he did fade out in that second half, so that's a concern for him, but he's going to get his opportunity with these 2 big names out of the side.
A different role for Mitchell. I just said before about how the first half was good against Boak. He comes in and out of the side quite a bit, and a lot of people from the outside wonder why he can't cement his spot in the team. See Toby Nankervis lead his team from the ground, but great development game for Mitchell.
Does he use the ball well enough to?
I think he actually gets to the wrong spot at some stoppage setups, and you know what it's like in league footy. Everything starts at the stoppage because the coaches can redress any error and go back to the stoppage and say, where did we start, where did we go? I don't think he gets them all correct, but I agree with you. Tonight was a learning curve for him. Put him on their best player and say, take him to the ball and just stop him when you can. So really good education for him tonight.
Yeah, so he competes when he is near the ball. So, yeah.
No problem with that. He's very good.
An interesting role. That's no doubt about that, and they'll be pretty happy there tonight. Toby's about to wear a bit of Gatorade, I would have thought, Jace.
The Swans have made their way down into the rooms, and as is the tradition, the first game of Cops are hiding in the middle as they get together to sing the song. Gusto for the Sydney Swans after a 10-point win. Let's head back to the lab and get their thoughts on the result. David King and Cameron Mooney.
Well, it's a win. It's 4 points, Jace, as you said, but it's just a win for me. I'm still a bit of a doubter on where Sydney are actually at the moment. I know their ladder position has them firmly in the top 4 moons, but I think there's a few holes. We're starting to see Reece Shaw maybe at the end of his days a little bit. Spent some time at half forward, and that was not the plan going into the game. And Laidless has started to show a few signs tonight. Rampy looked vulnerable down back one-on-one. Rowan's done a hamstring again. So there's a lot of questions still for me with the Swans, and they were lucky, in my opinion, to play an erratic Port Adelaide tonight.
Look, I think their mids are so fantastic, aren't they? They got their numbers up tonight. They did some great things, got their hands on the ball, as we said, kicked some goals. That was brilliant. But Port just switch on and off too much, and we'll show some stuff a little bit later. But, they're in games. When they're in, they're flying. when they're out of it, they look horrible, horrible football team. And their turnovers tonight through the middle of the ground were just really costly.
Don't mention flying. We'll get to terms later on.
Looking forward to that. Let's revisit the highlights of the second half. There was an 11-point margin at half-time, and all of a sudden it was game on because Port Adelaide were able to kick the first 2 goals of the third quarter. Nathan Cracker marked and goaled, and then it was Chad Wingard who got one on the board, and all of a sudden the scores were tied up. And then, to compound the woes for Sydney, they lost Teddy Richards, who was concussed in this tackle by Jay Schultz, and he would take no further part in the game.
Kieran Jack gets onto one and snaps it over the shoulder for 1 goal out of his 25 possessions. Luke Parker recovering, and Matty Broadbent comes over to test him out, and that created a little bit of a stir. But then Adam Goods, 3 goals out of 11 possessions in the game, and this is one of those 3 goals. Third quarter and three-quarter time was the Swannies by 24 points.
And there was Hamish Hartlett from outside 50. Couldn't get the handball, but he took it upon himself to kick the goal, and that's what he's in there for. A beautiful long kick, but we know this guy's pretty good around the goals. Robbie Gray, 1 goal and 32 disposals.
Then the other end of the ground, it was Jetta. Hadn't had a big night, just 14 disposals, but got this opportunity out the back. Kicked his first and put a lot of pressure on Port Adelaide late. Boak had a quiet game, but dragged his opponent at that stage of the game, Kennedy, to full forward, and took a mark, converted an opportunity, and Port just a sneaky chance late. Until the sub, Cunningham, who came on the ground for Rowan halfway through the second quarter, snapped truly to put Port well and truly out of contention at that stage, and a good win in the end for the Sydney Swans.
Yep, home by 10 points, 14-10 to 12-12. Reid and Goods, 3 apiece. Josh Kennedy also 2 for the Swans. 3 to Wingard and 2 to Westhoff and Cracker. As we mentioned, the usual faces doing very, very well for Sydney. Hanbury, Kennedy and Lloyd picking up 26 possessions. 32 to Robbie Gray. Massive second half after a very slow start to the game. Ollie Wines and Pittard also getting amongst it. All right, let's take a look at how the ladder looks after that result. And it's actually working very well for Sydney. They just keep banking these wins. They now go to 10 and 3, and that's a pretty handy record to have. And it's all to do now for Port Adelaide. Just about done.
I would have thought, absolutely, I would have thought so. They're not playing good football. They're well and truly off the pace now, and a few games out of the 8. So I think done.
Well,
long way to go still.
They need everything to go their way, and they probably need results to fall their way at the pointy end of the season. That's not what you want as a footy club.
So 9 games left. They'd have to win at least 7 of them, if not 8.
Can't do it.
Can't do it?
If you've only won 5 to now, you're not going to win 8 out of 9.
Where'd you have them, Chieftain, at the start of the year, Port Adelaide?
In my top 4.
Well, I had Ryder going there. I thought premiership favourites for mine. I thought absolutely ready to tear the competition apart after being a kick away from a grand final last year.
Well, one man that tore Port Adelaide apart today was Josh Kennedy. He's a star that just does it week in and week out.
Simplistic way he takes on his footy, isn't he? He's a big body. He just beelines the ball, gets over it, uses his power and strength over the footy, puts himself where the action is again and again and again. This was pretty good for him though, Baz, just plopping it full forward and saying, kick it to me on a 5-metre lead and converting.
Well, he had 5 shots a goal. He had 17 contested possessions and 11 clearances. So he pretty much did it all tonight. One of the best players on the field.
I think these 2 blokes are still dirty, though. I think they were on the board when you gave him the flick. Was that the go?
Oh, is that why?
Was it? I think it was your call, wasn't it?
Who was on the board?
Was that your call?
I've got a very vague memory around that time.
No, I was definitely gone.
You were gone. No, they made a deal he couldn't refuse. It was very smart recruiting by the Sydney Swans. We need to head back into the newsroom. John Ralph, there's plenty to look at from this game in particular. It could be a fair toll for the Sydney Swans.
Oh, no doubt. Look, we've got 4 days to look at this Jay Schultz tackle, of course, on Ted Richards. And I think by Monday afternoon, 50% of people are going to be outraged and 50% of people are going to say, I told you so. All we can do is look at precedent. We saw 2 weeks ago that Bryce Gibbs was suspended for 2 weeks for a sling tackle, as we show you tonight's tackle. And I think, again, that the match review panel will say we're going to give him a very similar outcome. Now, that sling tackle is all about the double movement. Number 1, the tackle, and then number 2, driving him into the ground. Now, his arms are pinned, he hits his head. I heard that people were talking about whether that's a perfect tackle. I just can't think in today's game that is a perfect tackle. Now, we saw that tackle 2 weeks ago. We'll show it to you now. We'll look for the similarities and we'll also look for the differences. Look, we know that Bryce Gibbs picks him up off the ground, and that's absolutely what we don't want to see. I think there's a similar thing, though, in what happened today. He picks him up off the ground and he drives him into the turf. So I just think that precedent is going to be so firmly established that it'll be very hard for them not to suspend him. Now, you on the couch, Jason, on Monday night showed a tackle with Lance Franklin and also Alex Rance. And, of course, there were some similarities there. And we'll see that footage now. The difference is, though, that he had his arms cleared and there wasn't an injury there. Now, you might want to say, let's get rid of all sling tackles, and that's probably a very wise move. But I'd have to say, though, it is a different tackle because the player was not carried off on a mechanised stretcher. Yeah, that's the big difference, Ralphie, isn't it? It all comes down to the result. And it's very difficult to see Jay Schultz getting off this one, given what happened to Bryce Gibbs.
I came out on the Bryce Gibbs one, and there is a little bit of leverage and swing. There's what I would call a whip. He goes around and then whips the end of the tackle. There's no whip on that Franklin one. There's no whip on the one that was done to her. And I actually thought that Bryce should have got some kind of suspension. That's not a whip. That's turned in the tackle. Now, what I get upset of, and I'm all for a penalty if somebody deliberately whips somebody into the ground and has them knocked out. But with that one, that's our tackle. Well, that is our tackle, and see the difference. There is a difference, and you understand the movement of body.
Absolutely, that was a whip. I agree with that one. I think the Schultz one, there was two movements. He's almost off the ground when he's tackling Richards to start with, then hits the ground and then twists. So it is still a throw. So I think we know in modern football now is if you do that action and he gets injured, you're actually in strike.
Without looking at it, he runs in behind him, faces him this way, and his body's going that way. Of course, if he grabs him, he's going to be turning with momentum that way. He doesn't whip him. If he doesn't turn, he falls flat on into his back and cannons him into the ground in the back free kick.
We were speaking earlier about how in the last decade or so, and certainly the teams that Baz and I played in, we took a stat to take players to the ground. So you put them out of the play, so they're not in the next play. We didn't throw as many players 20 years ago to the ground. We tackled them and let go. And that's the way we're going to have to go.
Baz, will he get suspended or not?
Well, I think from the results, he probably will. I don't want to hang players out. And the fact that Teddy Richards let go of the football and then it was emotion after that. The two tackles before that, the Bryce Gibbs one and the Buddy Franklin one, both players had possession of the football. I think it's okay. Fling him to the ground, and it's like the bump. If you take the risk to bump and injure someone high in the head or whatever it is, you run the risk of being rubbed out. I think it's the same for this sling.
When Jay was at Richmond, Aaron Hamill tackled him once, slung him into the ground. One of the first big sling tackles we saw got passed out. And I remember Azza stood over him and same thing, signalled to the trainers, come out and help this bloke, he's cooked.
Well, I think he's going to be in trouble. What about you, Kingy?
Well, I'm probably more worried about what happens from here. I don't know why, in a full-time industry like the AFL is, we have to wait till next Monday before we know whether this is a report or not. And if he chooses to fight it, he goes to the tribunal Tuesday night. We should know tomorrow at midday where he sits, and he can choose whether he fights it or not. They play next Thursday. I think it's impractical what we're putting Port Adelaide through in terms of their preparation for next week. Now, their finals run may be over. That may be irrelevant. But I just think the system, the AFL, needs to catch up with where the game's at, and that's 100% full-time, fully professional. It's
a very good point, Kingy. It'll be interesting to see if the AFL can act on this a little quicker than they have in the past. Back to John Ralph in the newsroom. Gary Rowan, not a great night for him either.
It certainly wasn't. He was playing some great football early, but he will miss at least a month with his hamstring strain. Now, this was not a little three-weeker. Now, he knew immediately that he was in strife. He was carried off by the two trainers, which shows that this is a really high-grade hamstring strain. Now, this is a club that has Brisbane next week, and then Hawthorn, West Coast away and Adelaide. So all those little things in the run into September are going to be setbacks. A really sad story for a bloke who's missed the better part of 2 years with that leg and has been able to fight back from that broken leg.
We saw Luke Park in the hands of trainers for quite some time. Also, Matty Broadbent came and had a go at him while he was trying to recover. What's the upshot of that?
And that was critical too, in the hands of trainers. We know now under the AFL rules, you are not allowed to interfere with an injured player. Quite clearly he was injured there, and Matthew Broadbent goes across to him and bumps him. Now, that's the kind of incident which would see, for me, a $1,500 fine. It's probably careless and low impact. But as you see there, the trainer comes over him. Matthew Broadbent knows exactly what's going on. It's the old tie up the shoelaces, knock you over incident. Now, you'd think this is almost funny, but again, it's been penalised. We're going to show you this 2012 incident with Selwood on Selwood, Rumble in the Jungle over at the Wacker, now over at Perth rather. Now, this involves Joel Selwood, big hip and shoulder. and then he ragdolls his brother Adam. Now, he was suspended for this. He did have carryover points, little one to go on with there. So we know, again, there is precedent. You just can't do it in today's day and age.
I've got to say, Ralphie, when we saw that footage of Parker, the trainer, if we can see it again, the protection or the way that the trainer jumped out of the way, it just reminds me of my old mate here protecting his teammates in times of need. Now, watch the trainer here just jump to the defence and say, I'm prepared to die for my player here. Rather like Jason Dunstall in his day. Hang on, we'll let it run on. And here he comes in now. Just keep your eye on Big Brafer. That's Jason. That's his usual stance.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest, I protected most of my teammates. I just didn't feel like our centre-half forward deserved any protection. That's all. We go back to Ralphie. What about Dan Hanbury? Any issues for him?
No, I don't think any issues at all. Again, this was Jay Schultz on the receiving end this time, and we'll roll the tape. Look, I think it's a perfect bump. He rolls his head here. He rolls into the tackle. That's exactly what you should do, the bump rather. Now, we know, of course, that Jay Schultz had his head over the ball. The players are encouraged to try and get sideways, and I think for that reason it's he couldn't really have done anything else in trying to approach the ball. Now, we'll have another go at showing you this incident involving him last year with Michael Hurley. Now, in this incident, there was a lot of conjecture about that over a couple of days, and he did get off because he was seen to be touching the ball. Now, again, he went in sideways. The other player went in right at the ball. So I think he's got no case to answer.
Couldn't agree more. I think there's a lot less in this one than the one you just showed with Michael Hurley. Let's head back to the lab. Back to David King and Cameron Mooney.
Well, let's have a look at when the game actually changed, Jason. The third quarter, Port were right on top, weren't they? They were absolutely flying. They had full pressure going on Sydney. Sydney were turning the ball over. And you can see here, before Richards actually went off with that report, or potential report the boys are talking about, the numbers are heavily slanted in favour of Port, particularly the pressure moons. They were fantastic around the footy. That fell away after Sydney settled. They came together, and obviously the leaders got to them.
Well, what happens when you get time to regroup, King? In good sides, always, when you get a time to regroup, they work it out on the field. And that's what good sides do, and that's what Sydney did. That's always, remember, Bomber Thompson always used to say to us when things were going wrong, work it out on the field. Get your leaders around, get them together and work it out. That's what they did. They came out in that second half when Teddy Richards went off, and they absolutely demolished Port.
Couldn't be more disappointed in Port tonight with the little things. You want to show some vision here. It's great play by Sydney as well. They just keep doing what they do. They front up every contest and they compete till it's done. You can see here, we showed this at half-time. You've got Adam Goods versus Homsch. Down the line kick. Homsch gets caught out because you can see Jack just slips forward of his man. He comes and guards the mark. Wingard rolls over. Now he puts Paddy Ryder to Adam Goods and he says, see this through for me. This is team defence. This is wanting to defend. This is a desire indicator. And this is about leadership. Paddy doesn't want to defend. No. He's going after the footy in a really vulnerable spot. Match is only just, as you can see, just started the second term. They got away with one, but to me, that's indicative of Port's season. Not quite seeing things through, not quite getting the job done.
Well, there's just no trust going on. We spoke about that at half-time. The trust that you have with your teammates on the field to do the things behind you that need to be done. And right there, Paddy just showed that he probably gives the players no trust in front of him.
We'll talk about the next instance. It's exactly the same. It's a handover that's gone sadly wrong. Let's have a look at the vision here. You can see exactly what we're talking about, Moons. It's so easy to see exactly what's happened here. The Sydney Swans are coming forward in a slow play sense. There's space inside the forward 50, but Port have got 3 players. They've got 1, 2, 3 loose men, and just watch what happens from here as we roll this vision. There ends up being 4 loose men for Port Adelaide in their defensive 50. If we pause it just here, you can see where they're at. You can see what they're guarding. They've got good vision everywhere. That's Carlisle. You've got the ruckman at the back. We've got Westhoff here who becomes free. We've got Archie here in good space. We've got Ryder who can see everything. He can actually spot Hanbury there in front of him. So there's 5, 6, 7 players that could have picked up Hanbury as he just jogs back in and takes an uncontested mark 20 metres from goal. It's amazing vision.
Look, it was really poor. Archie he just stood there and just watched Hanbury go around him. Ryder being the senior player, he needed to say something. He needed to point out and just say, look, you need to go and get him. If he couldn't get there, but I would have expected Ryder to actually run inside and go and pick him up.
Well, let's go straight to the SCG and have a chat to one of the superstars of tonight's performance. Tommy Mitchell, fantastic job tonight. Great win by the boys, but your role on Travis Boak was absolutely first class. When did you know you were getting the job, Tom?
Yeah, I suppose I found out earlier in the week, and I knew it was going to be a huge challenge. He's obviously the captain of their club, and he's a champion player. He's really hard inside, so yeah, it was a really tough job. But I had a lot of help from my teammates tonight, and overall, it was really just pleasing to get a win.
Tom, the talk all week was how you guys were going to fill the void of Buddy going out and obviously Tippett. Reid stood up, was excellent in that first quarter in particular, kicking 3, and then Goodsey doing what Goodsey does, just being an old legend and kicking 3 himself.
Yeah, you know, we knew we'd have our work cut out for us. Obviously, Buddy and Tippo probably have 2 of our main targets up there. But, you know, those guys you mentioned, Reedy and Goodsey, really stepped up tonight. And, you know, it was really good that they were able to fill those spots and really contribute tonight.
You've been frustrated over the past 12 to 18 months not being able to break into this lineup. What's kept you out? Let us in a little bit, and how frustrating has it been for you?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, last year was a pretty frustrating year. You know, had a few setbacks with injury and stuff. But, you know, I knew the things also that I needed to work on, and it was really good to be able to have a full pre-season this year and work on those things. And yeah, it's just really happy to just be playing at the moment and playing my role and trying to contribute each week.
Tommy, very interested to know what was said during that third quarter when Teddy Richards went down, got stretched off after that tackle. You came together as a group. What was actually said? Because before that, you guys were struggling. After that was a completely different story.
Yeah, I suppose we always knew that Port Adelaide were going to come. They're a really quality team, and they had the momentum there. So I suppose it was just trying to hold that momentum and get things back on our terms. And yeah, I think it started with winning that clearance at that stoppage you were talking about after Teddy went down, and really just bringing our absolute effort from there. And you know, it was really pleasing. The boys were able to fight really hard right to the end.
22 disposals, 6 score involvements. I think you've earned a shower, mate. Well done tonight. 10-point win to the Swans. No doubt you would have enjoyed Thursday night footy.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good
Cheers.
Tommy. Good to see him in the team, isn't it? And I think that he's another important component to him, another gut runner in the midfield.
But it just shows how much John Longmire and that coaching staff are desperate to make sure that he runs both ways. I mean, they've got Jack, they've got Kennedy. These guys, Hanbury, have been doing it for the last few years now. They do it perfectly. They do it brilliantly. This is what they really want him to do, and they go to the point of making him tag when he's been such a great ball winner. I love that from John.
They ran harder and deeper tonight, Jace, than what Port were prepared to do, and I think in the end that took its toll on the Port midfield.
Yeah, he did a very good job on Travis Boak, as you mentioned, boys. I'm not sure it's going to earn him a vote, although we will find out on the other side of the break. We've got the votes coming up and plenty more still. Thursday night footy on Fox. Stick with us.
You're watching Sydney versus Port Adelaide. This is Thursday night footy on Fox.